Yo, what is up, guys? It's Tuesday night. We're going live on a Tuesday. No Monday Night Live last night, and thought about not doing a live this week. Just gonna take this week off from the live stream. And actually, being fresh off the Philly show, I was a little bit tired, definitely on Monday. However, I reached out to a friend of mine in the community that kind of touched base with at the Philly show, and I was like, "Hey, man, would you ever want to do a live stream?" Didn't know if I get an answer or not. And like immediately he was like, dude, I'd love to come on and talk anytime. So I was like, let's just do this then on Tuesday. I'm like, not going to put live stream off till next week. We're going to go ahead and we're going to talk. And Kenneth Fornos, guys, you guys know he doesn't need an introduction. If you guys watch my stuff, you watch his. And this is going to be a great conversation because I learned quite a bit about him at the Philly show this week. Going to bring him on. Let's not even waste any more time. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on right now. Let's just go ahead and do this. Kenny, what's going on, man? How you doing?
How are you, Steve? Doing okay?
I'm doing good. Yeah. I'm going to slide us back here. There we go. And so, yeah, we talked at the Philly show. We're both fresh off of that show. Before we get into that and get into the cards and get into the questions and everything, just go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about yourself that they may not already know. Because of course, lots of people watch your vlogs and stuff, so they know a lot about you, but maybe something they don't know, or just fill everybody in on, your journey and the hobby and everything you got going on right now.
Sweet. So my name is Kenneth Fornos. So if anybody doesn't know me, I travel pretty much almost every weekend, whether it's locally or throughout the country to whatever card show, pretty much to, make some good money, but at the same time, a lot of people don't know I'm actually a really good I'm a big collector, and I collect $5 cards, stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. There's nothing really too interesting about me. One day I just woke up and my videos started going pretty crazy, honestly, and I couldn't be more grateful for that because, doing the content back then, I would be happy getting 80 views, 70 views, 100 views, and then one day like a vlog went crazy, and then after that it's kind of happened naturally. So I definitely appreciate the journey, and it's been a lot of fun, man.
I think one of the things is something that, okay, so when I watched your first vlog, I was immediately a subscriber, and but I just liked your content. And then I also met you in person and basically confirmed from what I was getting from your content is that you seem very genuine. A lot younger than me, but I felt like we had quite a bit in common, like the hobby. I felt like you were a genuine guy. You were out there, doing your thing to try to make yourself some money, but you're also a collector, trying to help the hobby, trying to be entertaining, and not just, basically looking out for yourself. You're more of a hobby-verse person. I just felt, when we had our conversation, we were talking in the casino, and I was just like, okay, this is a young, genuine dude. This is good. This is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It was fun, man. We stayed back behind for an hour and a half after the trade night and just talked about PC and Marvel.
Yeah,
that
was cool, the trade night. So coming out of Philly, what are some of your takeaways from the show? Did you have a good show? Where do you feel the vibes, right now in the hobby right now?
Honestly, it was good. The last Philly show I went to in September, I do believe I did a little better. This time though, it kind of started off a little slower. Now another thing could be just the location of our table. Like the last time, our table was just very easy to find. This time I kind of feel like, we were just blocked off, and we could definitely tell. But I got some good stuff. Definitely regretting selling a 56 mantle that I got. I sold it within a day, and I'm probably never going to get that centered of a card back. But yeah, other than that, the trade night was great. I actually made my biggest deal with Josh to date. I split a big deal, 3 cards. And yeah, it's very promising.
Yeah, I saw that deal. I was at the table next to it as it was happening. Actually, you got those cards from somebody that I knew that only lives about 30 minutes from me. So yeah, I didn't know if he was going to deal those cards that night, but he did, and they went to you guys. That was pretty cool. Yeah, and like you said, we stayed after and talked at the trade night for a while, and I was cracking up because you were telling me the story about your purchase of the Mickey Mantle card. So Tell
Yeah.
everybody a little bit about that and one of your first dealings, maybe not your first, but few dealings with a vintage seller.
Oh yeah, okay. So I know what you're talking about. All right,
Mhm.
so yeah, it was the first night, Friday night, and I don't honestly think I made a deal yet that first Friday night. I think I was really looking through the dollar bins and stuff like that, just kind of looking for just quick stuff, cool stuff, and I was like, man, I don't want to go through day one and not have any not make one play. So I'm looking around and I find somebody, he's of my age, like probably in his late 20s or something like that. And he's got a bunch of ultra modern and modern, and then he's got like 3 Mickey Mantles. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm sure I could probably make a deal on this. So, he gives me a great deal, honestly, because I made very well on it the next day. So the next day after I sold the Mickey Mantle, the thing is, when I sold the Mickey Mantle, I was actually on the floor looking for that same card in a lower or higher grade around the same price, at least, somewhere where I felt comfortable. So I sold the mantle and I'm like, oh, that's fine. I'll just search the floor. And I found it was a 3. I found a 4-5 and I offered somebody very strong, honestly. He wanted 24. I offered 2, then I offered 21. And then his wife was like, I'd rather just keep it, and we were talking, these vintage dealers, man, they are by the book. They will not negotiate at all. They would rather, as you say, they take it to the grave, man. We were talking about it. We were like, they're just too strict on the vintage. They won't let it go. So we were talking, we got to find people who have a little bit of ultra modern and who have, how maybe a tenth of their showcase is just vintage cards. Those are the ones that you want to actually buy the vintage cards from, because the other dudes really weren't, they weren't trying to budge a little bit. So.
Yeah, and that conversation came up because I was trying to get a 52 tops Willie Mays, and I was running into the same problem where I was offering over comps, and I get it. Comps don't fly in the vintage market typically, so I was offering really strong on some of the cards and just couldn't get the sellers to move. And that's nothing against the sellers. That's the way they deal. That's the way vintage works. And I'm a novice when it comes to vintage. I'll be the first to tell you. So I realized that when I finally go to get that card, I'm probably gonna have to pay up for it unless I find it, like you said, with someone who is very diverse in their inventory and they move things a little bit differently as opposed to a strictly vintage seller that's just like they don't care if they sell it or not.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like it's not a knot on the seller. It's not like,
right.
Hey, I'm mad about it, but they're just tough. It's tough to make a deal with them.
Okay. And one thing you told me was, and I didn't know this, you're a Jimmer Fredette fan. So you were talking about PC, and I also showed a Salte on IG where you and the Morris twins where you had posted some cards. And it's funny because you told me that night in the casino, and then this was the first time I saw you post some cards.
Yeah.
From that. Yeah.
All the time. Like I'll buy so I buy significant like players that are significant to my life. Like at one point when I was in high school, Jimmer Fredette was the talk of the town. They were like, have you guys seen Jimmer dude? Where like he's pulling up from half court. And then, you'd go home and watch college basketball. And this guy was pulling up from half court confidently. And I found his Kings RPA, the select, it's numbered out of 199. It was probably like $3 or something. And honestly, PC is about appreciation. So I put it in a nice little one touch, and it looks like $1 million card to me. Obviously, it's a $5 card, but and the same thing with the Morris twins. It was in that same box. So stuff like that. Like those guys, they were just so unique in college because they literally look the same. They play the exact same, and now Markeith, I'm a Miami Heat fan. Markeith plays for us now, and it's crazy because it's like when I was younger, I would watch those guys and stuff like that. Like I like to collect stuff that is significant to my life at one point in time.
Yeah, cool. Was there anything before cards? I mean, were you into sneakers or anything before getting into the cards?
Yeah. So as I was telling you in Philly, so I grew up collecting cards when I was a kid until I was about 10, 13 years old, something like that. I know it was like around middle school that I lost them all, but I had a neighbor who got me into collecting cards. I would go to, because I lived in a small town. There was this one local card shop. It was called David Sports Cards. It was probably the size of like It was literally probably the size of like a big, like if you ever go to a mall restroom, it was probably the size of that, maybe even smaller. But I go there all the time and I just rip packs. They were, dollar packs and stuff like that. And then as we moved, you just go on with life. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened to those cards. When I moved to Florida in my teens, my cousin, I played basketball, but my cousin, he was buying cool sneakers and he would wear them on the court, but then he would also sell them. So I did get into selling sneakers and I would go to sneaker conventions. It kind of showed me that little entrepreneurship. And I sold sneakers until about two years ago. Because then I started reading up about cards again, and I was like, where are all my cards? Like, I know I had something, but there was 2 cards that made it out that I never got rid of. Like, I don't know why, but they always made it through, and I have them to this day. They're the Michael Jordan 1990. It's like a 90s insert from Upper Deck, back-to-back MVP. I think I have it here actually. I wanted to show you actually because we were talking about it. Like this card. Growing up, I thought this card was going to be $1 million card one day. I was like, look at this artwork. This is something, it's a sick card. I didn't know much about cards. You know what I mean? And then whenever I started reading up about cards booming up again, I was like, oh, I still have that Jordan. It was still perfectly top loaded, looks super flawless. And this is the same one. And I was like, oh yeah, it's got to be 10 grand. And then I looked, it was still a $3 card, but stuff like that. I'm glad that I held on to this all these years. It's just something that means a lot to me. And I mean, that's kind of everything within sneakers, cards, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's like I was telling you on trade night that I remember busting 86, 87 Fleer basketball. Yeah. And when cards, came back out, I was like, I know I have that 86, 87 Fleer, which I did. I found the box of it. Of course, the Jordans had been picked except for one, and it was in really bad condition. However, I submitted a lot of the other ones to SGC because I didn't care. I just wanted them slab because they were from my childhood. And a lot of them, the lowest grade I got back was a Karl Malone and a 7.5. But the Barclays and the Olajuwons all came back 8s. So that was pretty cool. And I still have those. I could have been like, all I'm into this is for the grading fee because these have actually pack pooled, 40 years ago, 30 plus years ago. But they're still here because I just remember busting those. And there's not a lot of people who can, unless they buy a box, on the open market now for lots of money, can say that they were busting 86, 87 Fleer and 80, and 86. And only if I knew, only if back then what you possibly have in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, back then, like I was telling you too, I didn't know the big sets. Like my neighbor was a big collector. He always had this big box of cards, and they were all top loaded. And we didn't have much money growing up either, so he kind of started me on my collection. I would say, hey, I'm a Dolphins and a Heat fan, and he'd find out all the Dolphins cards for me, and he'd give them to me, and that's kind of how I started building up. And then I'd get a couple of dollars here and there from my mom, and I'd go to the sports card shop with my neighbor, and we just look at cards all day, even though they were expensive. They were like $10, $15, but you get what you can.
So we got Full Metal Gems here. He saw us both at the show. I remember running into him, and then I ran into you, and I was like, hey, dude just came up to me with some PMGs. Yeah. And then you came back to me later and was like, oh, I saw the dude with the PMGs. So Full Metal Gems, how you doing? Nice meeting you at the show. I think we have our first question here. Also, Victor says it's fun to hear the stories. Our first question, I believe, here. I haven't read the questions. I just pulled the stuff up. So hopefully. See, are we at the bottom of the trend now, or should we wait until PSA declares that the backlogs are gone before we buy again?
I mean, what are we trying to buy though? You know what I mean? Like, it's always the time to buy. As long, I mean, if you're looking to grade, I mean, it's kind of tough because it's 150 the lowest option. But I mean, I believe KK Sports Cards is doing 95 per card. I think certain group submitters are doing 95 per card, but I think it's a limit. So it really just depends, honestly, on what you're trying to buy and what you're trying to really do. I'm always buying, whether it's for the PC or for what's making money.
Yeah, right now the best thing that I think to do is to get out to the shows, because right now I think your best turnover, and it's always been your best. It's just been limited lately because of the grading fees, but always your raw to graded is where your biggest margins are going to be. But you don't want to risk buying a high-end card without having it in your hand to look at it, especially if you plan to grade it. And that's where I'm torn right now. There's a high-end card I want to buy online. It's over $1,000 raw card, and I'm just like, and I've had him send me a lot of extra pictures, and there's two, but one of them's in a complete set. So the other one, I got to basically purchase the complete set to get it, but the other cards in the set aren't worth anything, or the other one's being sold by itself. And I just can't get a good judge off the pictures on if I want to spend, that type of money on it. So yeah, the buying opportunities are definitely there. I saw lots of transactions going on in Philly. I've seen some videos where people have gone to local shows lately and talked about stuff isn't moving, but Philly seemed to have good movement. Trade night is where I did most of my transactions, though. I did really well moving my modern basketball, which has been a hard sell, on silvers and hollows. Your really high end stuff always move because there's somebody out there with deep pockets that wants it. Is going to find a collector's home as opposed to somebody else who's trying to reflip it. I flip a card to somebody, but they're looking to reflip it as well. So I got to leave them some meat on the bone and be fair, take my profit, cut my profit a little bit in order to even move the card, because I got to leave them room on the other end, but that was happening in a lot of my deals. I was lucky enough to be able to do that. So there's definitely buying opportunities, and typically December is a buying month in most markets, whether it's cards or whatever you want to invest in. If you have disposable income in December, prices are usually down, and it has nothing to do with a player's performance or a stock's performance or the real estate market. The month of December is just always a down period. And that's usually when your big investors who have extra disposable income will buy.
Oh, yeah. And people need Christmas money. They really do.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There's an old movie called Trading Places that I quoted on somebody's live stream last week, an Eddie Murphy quote, when he was talking about people aren't going to be buying pork bellies because they got to buy their kid the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip because it was Christmas time. So that's what happens. The investors, your basic investor has less disposable income to spend. Yes. We have, got Dolphins fans. What's up, Roman? Is a Cleveland and LeBron fan right there. Neo said he's just here for the Marvel talk, so perfect segue in. I wore my Marvel t-shirt.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm always down for some Marvel talk, for some MCU talk all the time. I'm always down. I'm down for it, Steve. We already talked about it.
Yeah. So you have the Venom Jambalaya. Do you still have that? Were you able to move that? Have you submitted?
I say this morning. I actually did.
Okay. So the two PMGs that I was carrying at Philly, the two raw ones, the Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch, I submitted them at Philly. There was a group submitter there, Nash Cards, and I submitted to them for $95. So
yeah,
those have actually gone in. So, and I had a lot of interest in those from people that we were hanging out with, and also from other people. Big interest in those.
Yeah, they were really interested in that Venom Jambalaya, and I was like, I felt bad. I was like, oh, that's not for sale. But if you have any, I would gladly take them off your hands.
Yeah, right. So let's see. Miami Mike, what's going on? I know Miami Mike is a Tyler Hero guy from down there in Miami. Oh, so Bravos has got a question. Bravos, I believe, followed me when I was really into soccer a lot. So he's got a question. Do you do anything with soccer? And do you PC any soccer?
Well, when I was in high school, I was very big into soccer. I still watch soccer. But it really, soccer it's a little expensive as far as the stuff that I want to buy. It's crazy, but before the boom. So this was one of my biggest regrets in the hobby. This was last year in June, before the big soccer boom. I was looking at dabbling into Messi and Ronaldo cards. I'm a big Messi fan. I think he's the best player I've ever watched, because I never got to watch the other players. But his 2014 Prism World Cup card with Ronaldo on it, the matchups insert, there was the blue and red pulsar. It was like a team color match. The top was Ronaldo's team colors, and the bottom was Messi's team colors. At the time, it was on Mercari for, I think, $120. And I think I was just trying to talk him down just a little more. And then out of nowhere, the card was gone. Now, come to find out, in February in the boom, that card was probably up like 15x. The card was probably like a $4,000 card. But, it's crazy to think that those cards were so cheap and they hadn't boomed yet. And I really kicked myself in the head that, I didn't pull the trigger on a bunch of those first year World Cup cards, those mega cracks that they were so cheap at one point. And now they are being appreciated.
Yeah, and I did buy a bunch of those Messies off of ComC, all of the ones that were like $12 to $20 raw. And I sold a couple of them raw. I submitted one to SGC, which came back early as a 10, and I was able to sell it off during the boom. I submitted the other one to PSA that sat in PSA's backlog forever. While it was in PSA's backlog, a PSA 10 had sold on eBay for $4K. So I'm like, man, I need my card back. It still didn't come back. When it finally came back, it came back at PSA 10, but the market on that card was back down to like $350. So I was like,
it was the Prism World Cup, right? The 2014.
Just the Prism base World Cup. Yeah.
I remember when I was buying it again on the dip, because that one had a crazy market. So it went to like 4K or 3K, something like that. Then it went down, and then it went back up to like 1,800 or something. And then I bought again. I bought 2 True Gems. I bought the Messi and the Ronaldo True Gems. And then it just kept going down. And I was like, oh no, this gotta go.
Let's see, Roman. Do you sell or trade the Jordan Auto?
I don't have a Jordan Auto. I wish I did.
Had you ever acquired one, or was it a LeBron Auto? It was a LeBron Auto that you had acquired, I remember.
Yeah, I've gotten one LeBron Auto. It was a St. Vincent St. Mary's out of 10. It was from Exquisite. It was a PSA 9 with a 9 auto. Now looking back, like, yes, I appreciated the card. They were tough moves, though. I will say LeBron in a St. Vincent St. Mary uniform is a tough move, especially since it had a 9 auto. I don't think a lot of people in the hobby like 9 autos. They really don't.
Yeah, that's tough. I had a Alexander Ovechkin RPA that I was shopping around at the May Dallas show, the Dallas show that was the big booming Dallas show when everything started back up again. It was like a mini national. So I took that to some big players. I took it to Sasha. He looked at it, was interested, but he was kind of like scared of hockey at the time. He said he hadn't messed with hockey. I took it to the other dude. I can't remember his name that hangs out with Sasha. Anyway, no, long hair.
I think that's Coleman.
Coleman, yes, exactly. Yeah. Coleman Cards. Took it to Coleman Cards and took it to Costa Cards also. Now, Costa wanted me to bring it up to one of his Boston shows because he wanted to buy it up there because he was kind of in the middle of doing something when he was looking at it with me. But the thing that was the sticking point was that the auto on it was a 9. Yeah. Now, it was an Ovechkin RPA upper deck. It was already graded. It was graded a 9.5. So the card was a 9.5, but the auto was a 9. And that was the one thing. That card would have moved that day to one of those 3 guys, but they were hung up on whether or not they wanted to buy it with the 9 auto or not.
Right. Yeah. It's something weird about. I don't know what it is. Like the 9 auto is just. I don't know. It's really how people look at it. It's very subjective to everybody. Mm-hmm. So they look at the 9 auto and they're just like, I don't know. Because they got to move it to the next person too.
All right. So we have a question. You can or don't have to answer if you don't want. But what was your occupation before you went full time into cards?
I did a couple things. My most recent one though, like that I worked for the last 2 years was I used to sell cell phones. I worked at Sprint and T-Mobile, so I was doing that honestly until I went full time in cards in June. So whenever I first got my channel going and people actually started liking my vlogs, I wanted to quit my job early. I was just in this grind mindset. I got job and just do this full time, and I was scared, but my boss was actually working with me. He actually liked my videos. He was like, look, because he watched sports, and he was like, hey, you got to tell me about these cards, man. You're doing great. I'll help you with the schedule. And I was like, yeah, I'll do what I can. And unfortunately, I just kept telling him, I was like, look, man, I need the days. Because then July came, and I was like, there's a big Atlanta show, there was the National, there was the Tampa show, and I was telling him, look, I want to make it work if I can, but unfortunately, I need these days, and if I can't get them, that's okay. I knew by July that I was going to have to leave my job.
Right.
And once I left it, there was kind of no looking back.
Yeah, it's like the cards is definitely secondary to me. I have a full-time like career that I do, but I'd love to go to the shows all the time. With me, it's more of having the limited time. Like I either have to use vacation time or I have to rework the schedule. For Philly, I reworked the schedule, so I didn't have to use my vacation hours. Luckily, I'm in a position where I can do some things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but but yeah, I would love to make it to Atlanta. I want to make it to Tampa, even if it's one of the local shows that they have, because I want to get down there and chill with some of the people that I've met. Like Michael Hamm, I met at the National. We hung out because I went to the National by myself, so hung out with Michael Hamm quite a bit, and Brian from Tampa Card Shop. He actually consigned a Tom Brady card for me, and we became friends. We went out to dinner and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. People just like letting me chill with them because I was there by myself. You know what I mean? And even Dustin.
The hobby's awesome, man. Like the people you meet, like I said, we finally got to have an actual conversation together. We'd always come and we'd just talk about Marvel cards, but then during that trade night, after the trade night, we were just talking for 2 hours of just whatever it was. So the hobby's sweet, man. Like a lot of I know Bryant personally. I've went to dinner with him a couple of times. He's really, really genuine dude. They have a great store in Tampa, and those shows, they kill it because they're local in Tampa, so they show them a lot of local love. But I am very appreciative of like all the support that you've shown me, and just people in general. Like it's awesome to see people come in collectively and just show a lot of love.
Yeah, so we have Charles is telling everybody to back off the jambalayas and PMGs. Now Charles is the king of posting stacks of cards on IG. I don't know if you follow. He's stacking gems on Instagram. If you ever see someone posting stacks.
Yes.
Stacks. Yeah, so he always posting the rock, always. And so I said I was outbid on the Doctor Strange PMGs the other night. I got the red one, but I was outbid on the green that I bid. I bid like $35.50 on it, and it went for $36.50. And I asked Charles if he was the winner of that. He was like, no. He said those were too rich for his blood. And then I see him posting some of these cards that he's posting on Instagram, and I'm like, you can't bullshit me.
Yeah, I saw his. I see his stuff all the time. He is stacking gems. I definitely need some of those, Charles, because you got to share a little, especially those the rock ones. You got to share some of those.
Global Sports from Down Under. What's going on, man? How are you doing? We have Michael Hamm in the chat. Victor with a question, thoughts on what's the next PMG type movers in Marvel? So many other cool limited stuff that looks great aside from PMGs. I think this stuff is scratching the surface. So he thinks, with Marvel, it's just scratching the surface with some of the cool inserts, kind of like it did with basketball, PMGs, jambalayas, is where everybody's starting. What is maybe it going to trickle into?
I'm honestly not. I would say, we were talking about like the actor autos, possibly. I mean that's something. I mean, if we're talking about just strictly like Marvel stuff, not the MCU stuff, I'm still familiarizing myself with the actual true Marvel stuff. I know that because I bought a Star Wars card a couple weeks back at the Dallas show, and it looked like a downtown. Like I just needed that card. It could have been a $20 card, but I needed that card. And I mean, I think you're a little more familiarized with the Marvel stuff than I am. I've seen more of the ultra modern stuff. But there is this one card, like I found this card and I thought it was like, something, but it's actually like a $5 card too. This Infinity War card. I don't know if people are familiar with this card. I think, in my opinion, Infinity War is my favorite MCU movie. I think I'll watch it probably once a week. No joke. Legit, no joke. That movie's so good. It's like beautifully sequenced, and I don't know, man. It's gonna be hard for an MCU movie to top that. But I do have a lot of expectations for Spider-Man.
You gotta get a '90s Infinity Gauntlet #1 comic book, man. They're affordable. The cover, it's just the cover on that. I could show you one. The cover on that book is amazing. The artwork, and it has like everybody on it with Thanos in the middle, but then everybody around him.
Like I love Marvel, man. It's crazy how much like these movies they turn you into a kid, and then like I appreciate the comics. Like you were telling me, you were more into the comics too and stuff, and like we end up looking up their origins and how they were created and why, what they're doing, and man, it's awesome. It's awesome. Like I feel like a geek sometimes. I'm just like, yeah.
No, I'm wearing a Marvel T-shirt, man. Join the club.
But like,
yeah.
example, I'm always mostly buying, sports cars and stuff like that. And I have a bunch of buddies that, all we do is play basketball together and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like nerding out on some Marvel stuff. I'm like, yo, this new trailer just came out, and they're like, what? Like they're just not on the same page. So, like it's an amazing experience what Marvel and comic books and all these superheroes do for anybody.
Let's see, we have a Star Wars question down here, but also real quick, let's see. There's a set that I like from 2017 Ultra, which is the Spider-Man Ultra set. Mm-hmm. There is a insert set in that called Preserved Amber. Now it's all Spider-Man characters because it's a Spider-Man set, but there's 3 tiers of it. They're either numbered out of 175, and then there's ones called Cityscape out of 15, and then there's the full color, which are numbered out of 5. Right now, for a good-looking insert that's numbered out of 15, you can kind of get those at a decent price. You also have the there's the set that was made for all the other sports, where it's like the artwork is like black dots. When you hold it away, it looks like the person's face, but up close, it just looks like black dots. Platinum portraits.
Oh yeah, okay.
Platinum portraits. They have those in Marvel, but they're kind of already taking off to be pricey. And they have limited characters as well. And then, of course, there's the Essential Credentials in one of the Credential set or Skybox EX sets, but they're purple. And again, it's a very limited set, but there's not a ton of really good characters in it. And when you tend to find a good character, it can be pricey as well. I saw one that I wanted to buy. It was expensive, but I didn't think it was overpriced for what it was. But again, it was going to be an online purchase, and I wanted to be able to see the surface on that acetate card. It was a Carnage. So if you're going to get one out of the set, it's probably one of the best ones. And it was really low numbered, and it was purple, just like you see the Essential Credentials going crazy in the other sports.
Yeah.
But it was strictly a buy it now, and I couldn't get any negotiation on it, and I couldn't see it. So it was kind of like, it would have been a big gamble.
That's the tough thing, man, about like eBay. As you were saying, you got to go to these shows, because then you can see the card in person, and it just makes all the difference. It really does. Like pictures don't do justice on some cards.
And one of the tough things, actually, with what we're talking about right now, Marvel. I like Marvel. I really like oddball items. I collect rock and roll stickers and things like that. The stuff that I like and that I think is really below the radar, you just can't find it at the shows.
Right.
I really didn't come away with anything along those lines from this Philly show, but I didn't expect to. There was 2 cards that I found that were kind of like Looney Tunes cards that I thought were cool. Mm-hmm. But and I picked those up because I had never seen them, and I probably never will again. I mean, they're probably common enough because they're 90s junk wax, but you don't see them graded. Like the pop on them is like 4. So
it was a PSA 10, the one you showed me, right? With
yeah. Oh, everybody, my Walt Disney card got a lot of attention, and this is one thing that I want to ask you about. This is something I might talk about in a video real quick. These were the ones that I had picked up. I had picked up this one, but on the back has Montana, Gretzky, Jordan, and then Reggie Jackson. I wish I would have somebody else on there like Ken Griffey, but and then this one was on the front, the cartoon is Gretzky and Jordan. So I just picked those up because they were pretty cheap, and the pop on them is like I know the pop on this one is pop 4, so I didn't check the pop on this one, but that goes into my PC. I don't take that back out to a card show so that people can laugh at what's in my box.
I feel you understandably, man. Like I'll literally buy a bunch of stuff and it just sits back here, and I'm just like every day I'm like, hey, this is mine. Like this is cool. You just look at it, you just appreciate it, bro. That's all that matters.
Like Fernando Barrera Digital Marketing says, what about Star Wars, especially Kenobi? And I'm guessing he's asking because they're going to be having that Kenobi series coming out. But I think that the book of Boba Fett might be out before the Kenobi series. I'm not really sure. I do know in the comic book world, Boba Fett comic books, first appearance of Boba Fett, which is one of the Star Wars issues, is like taking off.
Yeah.
So when stuff tends to move, the comic book world moves just like the cards, based on hype. It could trickle over into the cards, but I don't know what cards they're going to be. What Kenobi cards? A Topps Chrome refractor from this year's product, or a 1977 Topps or 1977 Wonder Bread or something like that. I would tend to go for the older vintage stuff because that's what I like. That's what reminds me of. This just came in today. This was a mini collection that I bought off somebody. And it actually came while I was at the Philly show, but nobody was here to sign for it. This is all 1977 Panini Star Wars stickers that were only issued in Italy.
Oh yeah, I love stickers. Honestly, stickers are very appreciated.
So Topps made the 1977 set here in the States. Panini can only print stickers in Italy, so they made the set in stickers. And like here's like Luke with the lightsaber. This is a PSA 8.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a pop too, but this stuff is like super cheap. I was buying these were like $15 a piece. Like I bought everyone the guy had. This is just Luke and Kenobi in the hut. They're just movie scenes, like Luke in the laser gun.
That stuff that just means a lot to me. For example, like let's say if I was to buy a car, even if they're cheap, if it has some specific like significance to myself, then I need it. Like a movie scene, like me growing up, for example. Which there probably is, I need to look for it. If there's a card of Kenobi and Anakin fighting during Revenge of the Sith, I need that card because growing up as a kid, that was the scene. And that's
right.
Like you remember that visually, and stuff like that. That stuff always pops out to me.
Yeah, I like to buy anything with Han or Luke in it. Han's actually my favorite, the Millennium Falcon and all that. This is a cool one. I thought of him in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. I mean, now this is only a PSA 6, but these aren't graded, and this cost me $14. So, $14. So I was just like, $14, that's a PC card right there, And I bought the whole stack that the person had listed. I think it was like a comic shop or something because they all came bagged in like this comic book bag. So it was probably like a comic book shop cleaning out some old inventory that they found. Probably got it with a comic book collection, like when I bought 2 big binders of Marvel cards I was telling you about.
Oh, yeah. That's sweet.
That's where you find your deals. At a shop that doesn't specialize in what you're looking to buy. You go to a comic book shop to buy like some cards, some old comic book cards. They just acquire that stuff in bulk when they buy huge collections off people, and they just discard it. Yeah, and that's where you find the old sets and the old things like that.
I definitely need to do that because I got that's the thing. I have more comic book shops than I have local card shops. I have like 5 comic book shops that are actually within like a 20-minute radius within me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I actually took a stack of Star Wars 1977 Wonder Bread to my comic book shop, along with 2 PMGs that I had way back. This was in July. And he was like, "Oh, I can't sell these at this store. I don't have the kind of clientele that would buy this." And I'm like, "This is a comic book shop. You don't have anybody that would buy Star Wars or Marvel?" And he's like, "Well, not cards. They only buy comics." So that's when you're like, "Okay, well, do you have any old binders in the back?" And then they come out with big binders and they're like, "Please, just $100, take them off my hands. They've got dust on them." That's how you find a lot of the sneaky deals like that.
I need to do that now. Now I'm gonna take all my Marvel stuff and be like, "Do you guys have anything like this?" And then whatever pops up. So that's good. That's good.
Doodad, what's up, dude? Doodad is a regular here. So is Jordan. Let's see if we got another question. There's a lot of other lives going on tonight because usually I slot in on Monday, and it's not a written rule, but kind of, a lot of us who do live streams, we kind of are like, we won't live stream, step on each other's toes. But tonight I was like, so I realized that Dustin was going live and the Great Curator was going live both the same time. And I was like, oh shit. Because I didn't see their lives posted till after I posted mine.
Yeah. And I'm always
like, oh, well.
So if you ever want to talk more again, I'm always down to do this. I'll talk cards, life, Marvel for hours.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. We have a question from Anthony. What's up, guys? Do you have a question? What is your biggest card/cards?
You can go ahead first, Steve.
Well, let's see. Is this going to be a PC card or a card that is like a card that I would move? Actually, probably my biggest card might be in the PC. For me, it's tough because I don't have one big card that's just way more expensive than the other. I have the Jordan that you saw, but I don't know what to put on that because it's a funky grade. It's a off brand grade. I have the Zion BGS 10 Select, but I don't. There's not a mark. That's just a number. I got to come up with a number for that. There's no market to say what that card is worth. It's worth what somebody will give me for it.
Right.
So, yeah, with me, maybe and again, I have the dual auto of Magic Kareem on card, where I saw a BGS 9 of this go for $3,000. This is a PSA 9, so I don't know. And that was a long time ago. So was that at the height of the market? Was that just a regular price for a card like that? Because you don't see them that much, because that one is a pop one and none higher. So it's tough to put value on something monetarily. Now, I could probably tell you what is my favorite card that I have. PC value and sentimental value, I could probably tell you that. And even that's going to be hard because there's so many cards that I have that I love. Well, you got to take a shot at that because that's a hard question.
Okay.
Unless you have a monster card that's just like plain and simple. Yeah.
I don't have a monster card right now. The biggest card I have is actually, I just packed it up this morning, the Beckett. It just went to Beckett this morning, which was the Tom Brady NT out of 10 this morning. I just sent it off to Beckett. It'll be there tomorrow morning. I'd say like stuff that means a lot to me, honestly, like rare moments, like not really rare moments, but like I said, moments that mean a lot to me. Like I'm a Miami Heat fan, so like this card, people still don't know this card exists. An NBA Hoops Ray Allen. Well, this is the shot that saved LeBron's legacy to a lot of people. People don't know.
Oh yeah.
This was the corner three. Like I was watching that game, growing up. I was 14, and I remember my whole family went inside. It was 90. It was like I know we were down by like 4 or 5 within the last 35 seconds, and everybody went inside, and I was still in the garage watching it. And then Ray Allen hit the 3, and I was going ridiculous. It's like everybody would have already given up, but if you're a true fan, you're just gonna watch there. It doesn't matter what's happening.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's something that means a lot to me because like after that NBA finals, like that's when I actually started taking basketball very serious in real life as well when I was playing. So that just means a lot to me. Let's see. I showed you the Jordan that I thought it was $1 million, but it's $5. So I mean that means to me. This card, Kobe and Shaq. Whenever I was growing up, I would always watch Kobe montages on YouTube, and this moment would always pop up. Their first ever title together. First ever title together. He jumped in Shaq's arms. So that card meant a lot to me. I had an SGC 10 of it. I sold it, so I had to buy more raw copies. And yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I got a bunch of other stuff back here, but that's like Miami Heat stuff, so I don't want to bore people with my fandom.
Yeah, like with me, definitely one of my personals, probably one of my music cards because I relate songs to moments in my life. And, I do sports as well, but even more so things hit harder with me with music. So whether it puts me in a certain place in high school or a certain part of my life or reminds me of someone that I care about or something like that, then that's the relationship I have with a card to a certain moment in time or to a person. And that's where the value is with me. I have, I'm a huge Pearl Jam fan, but I also love Soundgarden. I have a Soundgarden 92 Pro Set Gem Mint 10, and there's only like 3 of these on the pop.
Oh, that's
but I have a PSA 9, and this one actually means more to me because I bought this one, and this one was gifted to me. The first big show I went to, this goes back to the Dallas show I talked about earlier. Donald, the show locator, on IG, he tracked me down and he was like, Steve, I watch your channel and I know you love Soundgarden and I got this for you. And I was like, that's amazing because I had been buying these to try to grade them and couldn't get any grades. And somebody went out of their way that didn't even know me personally to give this to me. So, you know, not only does it have that music connection, which takes me back to high school days and things like that, but it also has a connection with somebody that I met in the hobby that gifted that to me. So even though the PSA 10 is the better grade, this is the one that that means more to me.
Yeah. And that happens all the time too. Whenever I go to some shows, like a lot of people obviously know that I'm a Miami Heat fan or a Dolphins fan, and they'll just reach out and they're like, hey, here, you know, this is, you know, I got this for you. And it's like, wow. You know, I don't even know this person, and they just gave me a $5 card. Like, and to me, it's priceless. Like, I was in Dallas in August, and DFW Card Hunter on Instagram, he actually gave me a Dwayne Wade game used patch, BGS 85, like second year, and I needed it, you know. And he was like, "Yours, man," and I was like, "Oh, what? Like, that's awesome. Like, I hardly know you, you know. I barely know you." And that it goes back to the love in the hobby that, you know, that is spread around the community all the time.
Okay, so we're going to answer this next question, but real quick before we do, since we were asked about a card that really means something to us, whether monetary or personal, do you ever have any regrets from moving a card? And I don't mean that you left money on the table, because that just happens. You know, you take your profits and you're going to leave money on the table sometimes when you take your profits. But is there ever something you regret sold? Because people always say you can buy it back. And that's one big thing that Neo always says. They let you buy the cards back. But have you ever sold a card that after you let it go, you were like, I might not get that card again?
Yep.
So it's going to be more. So I guess it's going to be more personal than it is money wise. And I'm sure you probably have one from each. Probably one that you're like, damn, I wish I'd have held that another month. I'd have made so much more money. And there's also probably one where you're like, you actually felt like you were giving up a piece of yourself when you walked away without that card.
Yes. Honestly, like, even though it's very simple, I was buying the Kobe Topps Chrome 2008 before the boom on that one, the one where LeBron was guarding him. So I was buying that up on eBay raw last summer, and I would grade them. And this one was one where, you know, it's kind of like, well, I should have held it, but it's okay because, you know, I bought them at the bottom still. I ended up buying them in the summer, and it came back from PSA. It came back to PSA 9. I sold it in January for $1,500. The next month it was $4,500. Literally, like, it was up 3x. And I remember, like, I was like, nah, I don't know. I don't know if I should take this. And then I took it, but it is what it is. There was a Bam Adebayo cracked ice BGS 9.5 with a 10 auto that I'll probably never get back because it's a cracked ice. You know, those are hard to really come by. I got rid of that in a trade. I had it for a couple months, and I probably won't ever see that card again. There's a lot of cards I probably won't ever see again, and it sucks. It's kind of like, yeah, that's fine. You know, like the mantle. I really didn't want to move that mantle because I knew it was a really well-centered copy. And I was talking to John, my cameraman, and I was like, look, man, I think we undersold it. I think I could have kept that one for a while, and I just think yes, we did good on it. That's fine, but I just think the way that it happened and how fast it happened, I should have never sold it.
Money wise with me, and I was telling you about this one, I think on the elevator, 2003 Topps Pristine Refractor LeBron BGS 10.
Yeah.
So I bought it for $1,000. I moved it for $3,500. That card at its peak reached like $30K. So
yeah.
And this was less than 6 months probably after I moved it, because I moved it in March of 2020, the day before a show that I was going to, a Philly show, actually, because I wanted some bankroll. This was before I was making much bankroll off my cards. I wanted some bankroll for that show. So I moved at LeBron, which at the time was a good price. I got good price for it. Plus I was up 2,500 on it. So to me, I'm like, damn, this is a sell. But if I held that card to the following March, a year later, February, March, during that big hype run of the big spike, that card had topped out at 30K. So I was kind of like, looking back, I was like, I left a lot of money on the table there. But also, I had a bankroll that I was able to buy a lot of stuff. Other LeBrons, tons of top space that I got graded, Mahomes optics. and things like that. I pretty much put all that money into just those 2 players and then did really well off those. So I probably did either better or the same as if I would have just sold that one LeBron. It was just a little bit more work, but I just had the money to bankroll those other cards.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, go ahead.
Looking back, I mean, there's a bunch of cards that it's like, well, maybe I could have held it, but then like you sell the other cards and they still equal out to what you could have made on the other stuff. So I try not to look at it like that. Sometimes, like, let's say there was a card that was, it peaked out something crazy, and it's like, wow, I could have held it. But then, you look at the other cards you've moved in your inventory, and you're like, okay, I already did that. You can't just dwell on that one card.
Yeah. And then the other thing, Mike Chad is probably going to roast me for this because it's a card that I've shown on here a lot. That was a dear card to me. So they're probably going to be like, what? You sold it? You're a sellout. But anyway, I sold. So the first booth I went to when I got to the show was Santiago Sports because I knew that I had some Isaiah Thomas cards that he would probably want because that's what he PCs. So he pulls out I had a Noir game used auto. I had a NT game used auto, and then I also had another NT that was just numbered out of 5. So of course he wants the 3 Isaiahs for his PC. He also goes through my mags and he pulls out my I don't even know I had this in there, and this goes back to, do you take any of your personal items ever to a show? Because to me, sometimes I take stuff that I just want to show off, but I don't really intend on moving. Exactly. So he pulls out I think it was 2015. I can't remember the exact year. Masters Collection Tony Hawk auto, numbered out of 20. So I'm like, man, I love that card. So we had already, he looked at it, he was like, how much for the Hawk? And like his eyes were big, like he was excited. And I was like, I was like, I don't know about that one. Let's talk about the Thomases. So we come to a price on the Isaiah Thomases. We're about to pull the deal. And he's like, but what about the Tony Hawk? And I'm like, well, I knew the last one had only sold for like $400 and I bought it at the National for $300. So I'm like, it's just not worth me selling it. And he's like, well, what if I give you more? I'm like, well, where are we at? He's like, I give you 5. And I'm like, I don't know. How about 6? And he's like, 550. And I'm just like, he really wanted it because as soon as he got it from me, I could tell he was super happy. He showed it to his cameraman. He goes, I love this card. This is a grail card to me. So he felt really good, and that was cool. But I closed my case up and I walked away, and I was like, my Tony Hawk auto isn't in my case, and I'm walking away from this table. Yeah. So I was like, now here's the thing, though. Going into this, I was already in negotiations for another Tony Hawk autograph card. The problem is I could not get the seller to come to what I wanted to buy it for. I wanted to get a little bit closer. He didn't have to come all the way down to what I wanted to sell it for. But going into the Philly show, I was in negotiations for a better Tony Hawk auto, one that's more rare and one that I like better, that looks better. And I have to have a Hawk auto for my PC. I don't PC all Hawk autos. I just need one in there. So
that seems pretty cheap for a Tony Hawk auto, honestly.
Yeah. So when I come home, I finally got the negotiation through last night to get the one that I wanted. So, and that's the way I was looking at it. I was like, I bought this for $300. He's going to give me $550. I'm making $250 on top of it. I can put this towards the better one that I want. And that was I said, but I just got to hope that other one doesn't get bought out from under me, or the guy comes down to my price before it gets bought out from under me. And we came to a mutual price. He came down a little bit and I went up a little bit. I was happy. He was happy. So that card is actually being expedited to me, like overnighted. So it should be here tomorrow. But I have to be here to sign for it. So, because I want it in my hand. I feel empty without the Tony Hawk auto.
That's how you know it's for PC.
Like, expedite that to me. I will pay you the overnight shipping. I can't sleep.
I need that one tomorrow. Yeah.
All right, back to Inglorious P's question. We got chatting there for a while. What do you think about PSA buying Card Ladder, and do you use any of those tools?
I did use Card Ladder. I don't use it anymore. I use Market Movers. I think they're both they're honestly the same product. But I mean, it's big. It'll help as far as I know. It'll help out with the declared value whenever you submit the PSA. But honestly, I mean, this hobby just gets more and more advanced technologically. So like alt, all is killing it. You know, you can just scan a card and it'll tell you the recent sales of any grade, which is ridiculous. Like you don't have to search it up on eBay, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
A pop one, it could be a pop two, something you've never seen, but they just scan the, you know, the serial number and they'll kind of give you a ballpark or whatever, which is, I mean, that's pretty cool. All those products, like they're very useful to everybody, you know, as long as you use them all to your advantage, you know, they're very useful to everybody.
Yeah, even if you don't use the market comp type part of it, where you know a lot of people are like, I don't need something, I can look up comps on eBay and things like that, and that's fair enough. And a lot of times with eBay, some prices can be skewed. I know some people, some tools filter that stuff out, you know, sketchy auctions. But you know, the my collection aspect of it, where you can enter in your collection, what you bought stuff at, and track, you know, your values and your percentage and your ups and downs, to me is probably the most useful part of the tools, as opposed to looking up comps and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I used Card Ladder. I actually just, sorry, Card Ladder, but I just got rid of Card Ladder like last month. Because I mean, I've been a Market Movers affiliate now for a couple months, and I was like, I use Market Movers now, and I don't really use, like, I looked at my when you go on your phone, like it'll tell you your recently used apps, and I hadn't touched Card Ladder in a couple months. I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of just throwing money away, unfortunately.
So Anthony says, what's the biggest show to go to? I'm going to say besides the National, because the National is by far the biggest to go to. And I don't know if it's one in an area or if he's asking for a certain show, because I think each show has its own thing to offer. But you do more shows than I do. I'd like to go to Atlanta. I'd like to go to a Chicago show that wasn't a National. I'd like to get out to Vegas for one of theirs. So I don't know what to you. Maybe you break it down to where there's just not one particular, and basically say that depending on what you're looking for, this is where you want to be.
I think if you're looking for anything, honestly, you need to go to Dallas. Like anything and everything is there in Dallas. And not only that, like the trade night every night is just, you know, you have you get a personal connection with the next collector beside you. You know what I mean? Like not, you can't look through every showcase at every show. And, you know, whenever you think about it, everybody's walking around in the show with a briefcase or with a bag of cards. So, you know, you want to see what's in those cards. So whenever you're in the hotel lobby after the show, you know, you get that connection and you get to see those cards that aren't in the showcase, and you guys get to geek out over Marvel and stuff like that, or PMGs or whatever it is. You know, you guys can have conversations about your PC and stuff like that. And I've always had my most success at the Dallas Card Show. I do want to go to the Chicago Sports Spectacular. I haven't went, but I've heard it's a really, really good one.
Yeah. Again, I mainly go to Philly. I know if I was to just if somebody was like, what show do I need to go to strictly for vintage, Philly is strong. Yes. I've been to the National. I've been to the Raleigh show, which was a pretty good show for being a smaller show. You talk about the trade nights. Now, trade night to me, because I don't get out to them a lot, it always feels like I've never done this because I've been married forever, but I'm going to think probably like a speed dating. Like you go in, everybody sits down at a table and everybody's nervous at first and nobody wants to talk to each other. And they start opening their cases and a couple people start around, or you have like 4 or 5 people walking around and everybody seems nervous to engage. Yep. And then all of a sudden, as the night goes on, it picks up. Have a couple beers from the bar, it picks up even more.
It's awesome. Like you get to see, especially if you get a table, you know, if it's one of those trade nights where it's circled around tables, like, you know, one of those ballrooms and stuff, you want to get at the table, set your cards down, and then people bring you stuff. You're pretty much a dealer at the trade night.
Yeah, that's what it turns into.
That's literally what it is. You're just a dealer.
Yeah, I had this out real quick, back to the Tony Hawk thing. I sat down and for a little while when you were still making a deal with Josh with the Tom Brady's, I was talking to Taxi for a while, and we were over there. He actually was buying some stuff off of me, but he pulled my Tony Hawk rookie out of the case and he put it down, and I immediately took it back. I was like, that's not for sale. And he was like, why not? And I was like, because I sold my autograph today. There's no way the rookie's going out of my case until I get another nice Tony Hawk back into my collection. So, and the Walt Disney card. Plaza wanted the Walt Disney card. I was just like, man, I bought that because I bought that just to show my daughter because I thought she would think it was cool. And now all of a sudden it's worth a bunch of money.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Josh Ramos, Sports Card Plaza. It's cool to see the stuff that he's diversified into. So, we've actually talked about Marvel and stuff. When I was telling him about, like the Scarlet Witch and stuff, and I was telling him whenever we were in Dallas when I bought the Wanda Maximoff auto, I was telling him like, this is crazy. He was like, oh, like tell me more about it, and then I just started geeking out and just talking about the MC. I'm probably like, this guy doesn't even know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see him dabble into Marvel because it's crazy. He made a big sale on eBay during the Philly show. He sold the Mary Jane Watson PMG for a significant amount. And I mean, it's cool to see like a character like Mary Jane Watson, who's technically not active because it's Michelle Jones right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't seen Mary Jane in a movie since like 2007. And her PMG is selling for 4 figures, which is ridiculous. Like, that's crazy.
Right. Carl said Philly was terrible for vintage. I mean, there's good selection there, but yeah, dealers were slightly above comps.
Yeah, they were.
Because that was one thing I talked about on my way home. I actually did a little mini live while I was driving home, like the last 20 minutes. PSA Slab Guy says cards will never go up if you're not willing to top the last comp. 25% over is high, but he'll gladly pay over a comp for great looking vintage. Yeah. That's the thing. Vintage.
People all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people will always pay over comp on a centered mantle. They always will. Because you're not going to find another one. And the last comp isn't as centered, or it doesn't look as sharp, or whatever it is.
Yeah. Me and Mike go way back from before I even had YouTube. I had a small Facebook page. He came over and was on my Facebook page. He actually helped, with somebody who pushed me to do YouTube. We've never met in person, which is crazy, but he says he's got a nice PC card. So Mike, get that card, post it so I can see what it is. And it's probably going to make me jealous if it's something you say that I'm going to like. All right, let's see. So last comment, we're all caught up. Freddie says, Steve, let's see, I'm sure you have thought about this, but if you are a CEO, creator of a new entertainment only card company, music, movie, show business, what would I want to see? So if I was to put out basically a new line of cards or new genre, or maybe or let's say, for instance, Panini wanted to put something out in Prism, what would I want? Music, movies, shows, business. I'm going to be, it all depends. Because I could say music, but, and I wanted to ask you, if it's modern, it's probably going to be a lot of music that I don't have a personal connection to.
Yeah.
So music-wise, what is some of the stuff that you listen to, And I know everybody's going to say it depends on the mood, but like for you, what do you listen to a little bit of everything? Or
I listen to everything, man. I listen to from hip hop all the way to like scores, movie scores. Like today in my basketball workout, I was listening to the Transformers score from the movie in 2008. Like those intense battles, like and stuff like. I mean, the Game of Thrones score. Here, I'll just show you like my recently played. Like it's just ridiculous. It's I mean, here we go. Look, I got the Black Eyed Peas. I've got Drake, Nirvana, Billie Eilish, the Jonas Brothers are here. Like, I mean, Alabama 3's here. It's crazy. So, it could be anything. I listen to anything, man. Like, if it puts me in the mood, I'll listen to it, especially when I'm working out. Like, I'll just have that thing going.
Yeah, like me too. Like a lot of the newer stuff, I don't listen to a whole lot. Like I said, I have a 21-year-old daughter, so I know what the stuff is. Yeah. But I go, I listen to 70s classic rock. I listen to grunge. The grunge era in the mid 90s is my stuff that I really listen to, but the most. But then there's songs of bands that put me places like Pink Floyd. You've probably heard before, like the night before my high school graduation, I was at a Pink Floyd concert in Philly. So that's a moment, so it makes me love that band and all their songs. So, and, family members like my uncle, who was 10 years older than me. So I'm listening to the stuff that he likes because I did a lot of firsts with my uncle. He took me fishing for the first time, we hunting for, lots of firsts. He was like my older brother. So he had a big influence and stuff too. So it makes me think about him and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
music, yes, if they're going to put out cool autos and stuff. Yeah. And on the movies, or it could be actors, it could be any, basically iconic pop culture people. I have an Al Pacino autograph card from Don Russ, fans of the game. I have like Tony Hawk as well. I mean, he's probably more iconic just for being Tony Hawk than he is for being a skateboarder. Who would I like to see some cool cards of? I don't know. I just bought a Burt Reynolds auto patch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Super cheap. So this is a recommendation I would do. And people, you guys are probably smart enough. You probably do this anyway. If there's something that you see on eBay and you think that it's too highly priced, so you want it, but you're like, man, it's a buy it now. It's got no best offer. That's more money than I want to spend. Put it on your watch list, because you'll be surprised when people make offers, because this card has been sitting on my watch list for $180 for the last like 4 days. Today, they sent me an offer of $60. Yep. And I was like, I'll buy a Burt Reynolds game used patch numbered out of 15 for my personal collection for $60 all day long. Now 180, I was kind of like, even for 180, it was enough for me to put it on my watch list. But when they shot that $60 offer, man, I couldn't hit the button fast enough.
Yeah, that's that is another thing about eBay. That's the cool thing. I always put anything. I'll watch stuff to watch stuff. I'll watch live auctions just to see what they do. I'll watch stuff, and I'm just like, oh, that's a nice offer, but I'll still pass on it.
Yeah, right. So Mike says he bought a card from Roth. Hopefully they'll be in this weekend. Do you know what he bought?
I don't know what he bought, honestly. Josh has a lot of inventory, so.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's got some pretty good stuff. So.
Does he put everything out, or does he have a lot of like extra inventory that he doesn't showcase?
Typically everything's out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charles is all on an Ellie and Jaw roll here.
Ellie and Jaw roll.
Look, it's funny. We start talking about music and all in your playlist and all that, and Flea Market Mixtape pops up.
Oh, so yeah. I mean, I was gonna talk to you about. Bro, what do you think about what's your expectations for the new Spider-Man? Because I'm too excited, Steve. I really am, man. I think it's gonna be the best. I think it's gonna be the best MCU movie ever. I really do. The YouTube algorithm is killing me, man. I'll pull up YouTube every morning. The first thing recommended is something Spider-Man, and I'm scared that the day before I go see that movie, it's gonna be some leak, and I can't do it, man. I just can't do it.
I tell you what, I just bought 10 tickets for that show today, in advance. I bought the whole row in the theater so that me and 9 of my friends can go.
Oh, wow. I mean, the first day I'm actually going to watch it twice. I'm watching it at 3 p.m. and 11 p.m. So
yeah, so we're all made big plans. It's like a day. We've made it into a day. So we're going to the movie, then we're going to do this like Christmas festival thing that goes on at the beach, and then we're like going out and going to drink and shit like that. But yeah, I was like, well, I'm going to buy the row. Hopefully that's enough room for everybody. If not, I guess they're going to have to sit somewhere else.
I mean, honestly, like looking back on this in a couple of years from now, it's like whenever Endgame came out, like it was just Infinity War and Endgame was just such a big event. And I'm like, I don't know what it is, but as a kid, Spider-Man was always my favorite character. So, and even as a kid, whenever I would read the Sony movie leaks, like I was so into the Sam Raimi films and the Mark Webb films. So like as a kid being 13, 12 years old, seeing how stingy Sony was with their IP, you never thought Spider-Man would go to Disney. You never thought they'd ever get that deal done.
Right.
So, and the fact that this movie's coming out and with the big rumors and stuff, like, and it's actually possible, it's insane.
Okay, it's got Doctor Strange in it, so that's got me jacked because Doctor Strange is my boy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, and we're going to get to see. So Doctor Strange has had his origin movie, and then he's had his spots in the Avengers. But he was even snapped. So it's
Yep.
I'm ready for them to like just show because even in the first origin movie, it was Stephen Strange basically learning everything.
Yep.
I'm ready for them to just show him be badass.
Exactly.
So,
Like he's now truly the master of the mystic. Like if you think, I mean, he planned everything out during Infinity War. So I mean, now it's like he's, it's been what, a couple months since, it's been a couple months since Endgame, because this movie takes place like a week after, Far From Home. So I'm excited about it, man. Like literally, whenever I was up every day on YouTube for like a month straight, just waiting for the second trailer. I just couldn't hold myself, man. I just needed a new trailer, and now it's like now I'm ready for the movie.
yeah, when I went and saw the Eternals movie, they showed a new trailer before that movie that I hadn't seen on YouTube yet. So I was like, all right, yeah, this shit is going to be awesome, because it was showing all the villains and stuff. I just 100%. I don't know where they're going to go. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with the story. Like, what are they going to integrate into this? We know it's Spider-Man. We've seen that they've already revealed like 5 villains.
Yeah.
So if they're revealing that on the trailer, then what is going to be the reveal in the movie? It's got to be big if they're already giving away 5 villains in the trailer, and the whole they have the whole Gwen Stacy sequence and everything. Are they going to cross in other Spider-Man? Are they going to bring in? When are we going to see Miles Morales?
Now I'm excited for Spider-Verse. I don't know if you saw the trailer for that. Like,
I don't think. Maybe I haven't. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's the Into the Spider-Verse sequel. So I mean, I'm excited for that, man. Like I'm a big Spider-Man guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a big Spider-Man guy, so I could talk about that all day.
They even talked about Spider-Man 2099 a possibility of him.
Yeah, he's going to be in Across the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
So, that's who I'm really excited about, Miguel in Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, he's I don't know, Miles Morales is like the newer generation of a lot of people he's a lot of people's Spider-Man.
Yes.
I don't know who yours, like you asked me at the show who my favorite was so far out of the 3 actors, but I mean, my Spider-Man is Peter Parker, regardless of what actor is playing him.
Correct.
Mine's Peter Parker, but for a lot of people, it's Miles Morales. So it's big.
I'm excited for the future, because I think what I think is going to happen I think something's going to happen where Tom Holland gets stuck in the Sonyverse. That's really what I believe is going to happen.
Okay. So you think he'll be
I think he
in
goes
with the other guys.
Yeah, I think he goes to another dimension. That's what I think.
So at the end of the Venom movie, and that's Sony. But, if you guys don't know by now, then if I'm spoiling it, it's your fault. But, they show Tom Holland on television at the end because the timeline changes. I feel like that's what happens. I'm not sure what happened, but the dimension / timeline changes.
Yeah, he pretty much goes into the MCU. Like he's in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. So does he show up in this movie? Is it too soon?
So that's what I was thinking too, because the crazy thing is if you go on Google and you type in the movie, like the cast, Eddie Brock is there, but he's not an IMDb, and obviously he's not going to be showed in the cast, just like Toby and Andrew aren't either. Now I personally don't think he's in the movie. I think he's in a post-credit scene. That's what I think. I think what happens is, because if you watch the movie Venom: Let There Be Carnage, it's weird because the crazy thing is I don't think Doctor Strange has made the spell yet to cross over the universes. Because if you think about it, if you watch the second movie, Far From Home, Peter gets revealed, hey, he's Spider-Man or whatever in front of everybody, and that's when he's live on TV. So the spell hasn't been made yet by Doctor Strange. So it was kind of weird how Venom got into the MCU. That's the only thing that kind of confused me, because it's like Doctor Strange hasn't made the spell yet. So
right. Well, the only thing that I'm thinking is it happened in the Loki series when they crossed the timelines. If they cross the timelines, if the timelines are interdimensional, then that's why you're seeing villains that were defeated by Peter Parker and Andrew Garfield crossing into Tom Holland's timeline. But you're not seeing Vulture and Mysterio because they were already part of this timeline.
Yeah, and I mean, Michael Keaton's in Morbius, so it's kind of like, did he just get thrown into the Sonyverse out of nowhere? You know, it's just weird because, I mean, I look into all the Easter eggs, and I mean, also during No Way Home, I mean, Hawkeye episode 5 is going to be happening, I believe. So, and I do believe the Kingpin may have something to do in Spider-Man No Way Home. I mean, he's already teased in Hawkeye. I believe he's already in the MCU.
Yeah.
I just think I think in a post-credit scene, I believe that Eddie Brock and Peter will be together, and I think they get thrown back into the Sonyverse. That's really what I think is going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of questions. I mean, I could speculate all day and be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see how Tom Holland acts with a symbiote on him. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, that's in the comic book world. That's what they're talking about right now. The Spider-Man issues, and they're like the moment this symbiote suit hits Tom Holland, this comic book is going to go to the roof.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
like,
and you can relate that to the cards too.
It's just crazy because, like, in Venom Let There Be Carnage, before they're crossed into that universe, you know, Venom's telling him, hey, Eddie, if I told you about our history, you know, it'd blow your mind. And so when he saw Tom Holland on the screen, I think all the Venom variants in his head was like, I've seen him before, but as obviously Tobey Maguire.
Right.
So it's a lot of stuff, man. It's a lot of stuff.
So Rob is busting our balls here. He says, wow, this Marvel talk and no card action, but Charles is loving the geek talk, he says. So Rob, if you got something you want to throw at us about cards, because we've talked quite a bit of cards. We're an hour and 15 minutes in. I don't know if you're on a time constraint or not. My lives usually go for like 2 hours, which is kind of long, but feel free if you need to take a break or if you want to get up, if you're done, that's fine. Cause I understand 2 hours is a long time.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm good. Like I said, I'm good.
Okay.
And like I said, if you ever want to do this again, man, I'm always game for it. Trust me.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the comments aren't coming in. We got some people watching, you guys. If you guys got any questions for Kenny, you don't need to ask me any questions because you guys get tired of listening to me. But if you got some questions and I call you Kenny, and that kind of slips. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've heard it all. I've heard Kenneth, Kenny. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter.
Okay, because there was a viewer of mine that always commented. His name was Theodore, and I always called him Teddy. It just came out naturally, and I didn't know if he liked it or not. And I was like, man, I hope that's okay.
No,
but yeah, have you picked up anything since the Philly show?
No. I just got this morning was busy. So yesterday I got in yesterday. Or was it yesterday? Yeah. Last night I got in. I started working right away on like the footage and stuff like that. New video will be up tomorrow. I was gonna have it.
I was gonna ask, man. I was hoping it would be out.
But it was gonna be out. I took a nap and I was like, I don't want to drop it before, like, right during the live stream. So I'll drop it tomorrow night.
Okay.
I'll drop it tomorrow night. It's already ready. I also recorded a new video this morning, kind of just like the recaps, the pickups and stuff that I didn't show on camera. I did a lot of stuff today, actually. You know, I did that, 2 videos pretty much, editing, put stuff in fresh penny sleeves and top loaders, got a PSA submission ready, sent off the Brady for BGS, and went to work out, took a nap, and now I'm here.
That's kind of like what I did. I took all my cards that I either picked up or got in the mail, and I put them into, presentation is king. I put them into Pro Molds is what I have now. I just and I had to actually go online and buy another 25 pack of one of the sizes that I have. I have 130s and I have 180s, but I even buy like the 35 points. Ones that they don't need to be for thick cards for me. I put them regular size cards in them, so I had to buy a 25 pack of those. I picked up it's one card that I picked up on trade night. Another Christian Pulisic auto for soccer that I just picked up that was laying on somebody's table. I just slammed some cards in here. But anyway, it was laying on somebody's table, and I saw someone ask about it. Actually, it was a guy from the Black Jaded Wolf booth asked about it. And the guy was like, it's 175, and it was raw and it was clean and it's a really good signature. Pulisic signs like crap, so it's to find a good signature of his. And he picked it up. He looked at it. He looked like he was going to buy it. And I was standing there and I was like, please, thinking in my head, I was like, please put that card back down because I just lost one of these for $400 on auction. And the guy's asking 175 for it. And he's looking at it and I'm like, this guy's going to buy this card. He's from Black Jaded Wolf's booth. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He put it back down. He was like, I might be back for that. He walked away and I was like, can I look at that? And I looked at that and I was like, would you take 150? And the guy was like, we do 165. And I was like, sold. It's 165. Yeah. Now it's got to go in a nice pro mold.
Yeah, presentation's king, man. Always. I've honestly, I was one of the. I learned about the pro molds in National and never looked back. I never looked back after that.
Oh yeah, here it is. It's only in a top load now because I need a 35-point pro mold, but it's an on card, which it's hard to find his on cards in a U.S. men's national team kit. All of his like impeccable and immaculate stuff has him on Chelsea because it's a Premier League product.
That's a sick
so card. Clean auto. I already had one of these.
It was 165.
Yeah, 165 raw, and I'm going to send it in and get it graded. I already have one, so I had one right here.
165.
But look at the auto on the one that the raw auto. Look at the raw auto just looks better.
Yeah, it looks way better. But I mean,
I'll get it graded. It's clean. Hold it for World Cup time when everybody's feeling patriotic for the U.S. men's national team.
I didn't know Pulisic autos were that cheap, even from. Wow, that's.
I didn't know they had come down either, but I guess it's just like everything else in the market. They've come down a little bit, but I think he's a safe play. He's just a little bit. You just got to hold him a little bit.
Yep.
If he hits a header like he hit in that last Mexico game in a World Cup game, forget about it. His cards are going to fly that night.
Yeah,
he hit that header goal.
I think soccer's a good buy. Like I said, there's some stuff that I want, but it's just a little too pricey. The stuff that I actually want, but I'm excited to see the hobby during the World Cup. Honestly, I think it's gonna be crazy. I'm very excited about it, honestly.
So Tal's asking if you got rid of Sam Darnold's. I don't know. Did you have Sam Darnold's?
I never.
I don't remember you having Sam Darnold's.
That you got me confused with Josh. Josh was one about all the Sam Darnold. I never had Sam Darnold's.
I had two. I had two flawless RPAs.
Yeah.
A Baker and a Darnold. They were both 9.5 10s.
Yes.
And they were the legit flawless RPA, the good one.
Yeah.
And I moved them both at a trade night at the National. In the National, I got rid of almost every football card I had. I just thought it was the time to get out of football and into basketball.
Yeah.
So luckily, my Sam Darnold and my Baker both went that night. So.
Yeah, I mean the only because I never bought into Sam Darnold. The only time I bought into him was at the Philly show in September. I bought a lot of 4 of his cards, and I got rid of them within he was just so liquid at the September Philly show because I believe they were 2-0 or 3-0 at the time.
Oh yeah,
I sold them all that same day, but I never had Sam Darnold prior to that. I never had it after that. I never bought into Sam.
He had a time when he was hot. I mean, if you had his stuff with the intentions of moving it preseason or 2 weeks in, then you're fine. If you weren't able to move off of him, then you're holding the bag right now, and you're hoping for another trade.
It's a little rough right now out there, honestly.
Michael Ham's going to be at the Tampa show. Is that this weekend?
Yeah, I actually won't be at the Tampa show. I'll be in Raleigh.
Oh yeah, you told me you were going to be in Raleigh.
I'm going to be local for the next month. For December I'll be local, and then $21, Jesus.
Yeah, this brings up a good point too. So the night of the trade night, Starstock was part of the sponsor for the trade night, and they started doing live auctions. They didn't seem like they were getting a lot of attention from the room, at least, because everybody was, if they were trying to capitalize on a room full of people being there watching them, then I don't think that was a very good approach because everybody was kind of engulfed in what they were doing.
Yeah.
I only remember maybe 2 or 3 of the items that even went up because at one point I was just doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Starstock auctions? do you feel like some of the stuff is going really? I think I saw that night where I know it's Jimmy Garoppolo, but somebody was saying that Topps Chrome Jimmy Garoppolo PSA 10 went for like $4 or something.
It's ridiculous.
So I'm like,
I mean, it's a great flipping opportunity, honestly. Like if you can capitalize on something. I mean, if their stuff is not just if it's not getting the traction of like a whatnot,
or even a My Slabs, right?
Yeah, just even a My Slabs. Like the thing is, like nowadays a lot of people are using alt. So whenever they scan a slab, they look at any sales, and alt pulls up Heritage, PWCC, Golden, My Slabs, and eBay. So if they don't pull up your Star Stock comp, I mean, you're good. So like somebody, for example, I know a couple weeks ago or a week ago, somebody bought the Luca base Prism PSA 10 for like $300 on the Star Stock auction. So I mean, you sell that and you make a quick 40%. It's hard to make 40 to 60% nowadays in the card market. You're typically now making anywhere from 15 to 30 per card. Like as far as a quick flip, that's a big win. That's a huge win.
Yeah, like this card, say for instance, it's $21 off Star Stock, and you can slam it on to a My Slabs and get $50 for it. Yeah, you do that all day long. You're just basically the middleman between two platforms.
I mean, Trae Young base Prisms raw, I'm pretty sure like $50. There's no way that. I mean, PSA 9 is like an easy buy.
All right, let's see. PSA Slab guy is asking if I'm looking at any U.S. women's national soccer players before the World Cup. I'm not. I'm a Carly Lloyd fan, but she retired. I don't think she's going to participate. I could be wrong. She might be participating, but here's the difference between the men's team and the females team is that the females are expected to win, right? Are we not expecting the U.S. women's national team to have a strong showing or to win the World Cup, which means they have a lot of value baked into their cards already. If you're like, oh, they're going to win a World Cup and their cards are going to go up, that's not the thought. The thought is they're already going to win it. The men just need to make a strong showing because they didn't even qualify in 2018. So, they qualify and generate any kind of buzz or hype and win a few games here or there. Plus they're going to go back to their respected leagues with more eyes on them. Plistic's going to go back to Premier League and play for Chelsea, who won Champions League last year, right? So Weston McKennie's going to go back and play for us. He's still playing in Italy. I can't remember, but
I think he's in Juventus.
Is he on Juventus? Yeah. So, these guys are going to go back to their leagues that people watch. And after the World Cup, no disrespect to the talent of the women players or anything, but they don't really have leagues that they go back to that people tend to pay a whole lot of attention to.
Yeah.
Charles says he heard Alt is buying up all the Marvel PMGs for months. I heard that I was outbid by a big company for not me specifically but the auction that I lost, the Doctor Strange green that I lost, I heard was bought by Alt or a fractional share company or something. So
Alt is buying up a bunch of stuff, honestly. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't. I mean, they're buying crazy stuff.
Yeah, John says, and John is a Pulisic guy. I believe John I talked to about Pulisic autos quite a bit. He says he thinks Alex Morgan is safe. Yes, if I had to choose one to buy, it would probably be Alex Morgan. Maybe Rose Lavelle. I'm not sure. She's young. Mallory Pugh, is that how you say her last name? I know the players. It's not like I'm sleeping on the U.S. women's, like I don't dislike them or anything. I'm just strictly looking at a investment standpoint. Because really, over time, Mia Hamm is kind of the only card that's from the old women greats that it's held a lot of value. Like that 1994, whatever year that was, in the 90s, with the Brandi Chastain when they won the when they won the kicks at the end and Brandi Chastain rips her shirt off and all that stuff. That takes me to a moment in time. But really the only card from that team is Mia Hamm. So you're looking at the GOAT, best of the best female soccer player. And that's why she's, valuable. It's kind of like when you look at tennis and you look at tennis cards and you say, okay, I want to collect tennis cards. That's fine. But understand that Serena Williams draws big money, but the whole entire women's circuit doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like in golf, Tiger Woods draws big money, but the whole rest of the golf circuit doesn't.
That's crazy too. I was looking at golfers like it's crazy how much the gap is between Tiger and literally everybody else. Like it's like everybody's a 50th. It's not even like he's a 10th. It's like everybody's a 50th of the price.
Right. And it's because these players have transcended out of their sport.
Yes.
You know, Mia Hamm has transcended out. Tiger Woods is bigger than you don't want to say somebody's bigger than their sport, but he's more than a golfer. He's not just a great golfer. You know what I mean? It's like Jordan's not just a great basketball player. He transcended out of the sport. And that's kind of where you want to relate. And when you're, especially the markets I dabble in that are outside the box, I wouldn't go buy, I would for PC reasons, but not for investment reasons. I wouldn't go buy a bunch of skateboarder cards, but I would buy Tony Hawk because he's transcended out of it.
Yes.
Sports Cards Anonymous says live on a Tuesday. What is happening? Yeah, I know everything is not right with the world. Lunar eclipse, solar eclipse. I don't know. It's going to snow in Florida, but yeah, live on a Tuesday. I felt like I was thinking about taking a break this week, like I said, when I started the live stream, but got something lined up with Kenneth and was like, man, we got to get this done. This can't wait.
Yeah, and like I said, anytime in the future, within the next few weeks or months, whatever it is, if I don't see you at a show, just feel free to have me on, man. Just, you can reach out to me on Instagram at any time.
All right, here's a hot soccer question. Mbappe, Haaland as investments. So I'm going to guess long term because right now in the short term they're good. They're the two hottest, probably two of the top hottest young players in soccer. But where do you see them long term?
I think Mbappe is crazy. I think he's so good. I think he's really, really. I mean, whenever I watched him in 2018, at 19 years old, what he did, I mean, it was crazy. And I watch soccer like that. Like, I'm not gonna say like I'm a big, I'm watching every week or something like that. But I mean, you can tell when somebody's very special. And Mbappe is really good. And I like Haaland too, but I believe Mbappe is already very special. Plus, he's already got that World Cup in his hands. So,
Yeah. Haaland is crazy and explosive. I don't know if he's as complete as Mbappe right now, is because Mbappe, I think, is leading League One in assists as well. And he's got 7 goals, and I think he's leading in assists. Haaland's a big time scorer. I think he might play as a striker, though, which is going to, limit his assist. Lewandowski's still the greatest player in Bundesliga.
Yeah.
So
he's sick. He's sick.
And
honestly, I thought he should have won the Ballon this year, but
yeah,
I know that's his fan. So.
But once you see one of these young guys move to Premier League, if that was to happen, a transfer is going to cost a lot of money. But if they were to move to a big market team like a Man U or something, Man City, any of those big, London clubs, England clubs, you definitely see a spike there, but it's probably another time when you sell because they let you buy them back.
Yeah.
You sell on a transfer, then you rebuy when it dies down. But soccer always has something going. There's always a tournament. There's always leagues. When there's not leagues, you have the tournaments. Then every 4 years you have a World Cup and a Euro. You got Champions League. So.
And you always got international plays and friendlies and stuff like that. So, I mean, soccer's year round. That's a good thing.
And your players can develop multiple markets. They're not – okay, so you got the people who collect good players. You got the people who collect their favorite teams. And then you got people who collect players from their country. So, Mbappe, well, of course you're going to have PSG fans like him, but then also France. But that's kind of tough because he's playing in the league that he's in. But if you take a player, for instance, like somebody who's really good that's in Premier League that's not European, Mohamed Salah, who's on Liverpool. Your Liverpool fans love him, and then he's from Egypt, so he's going to get that Egypt attention as well. That's not as good as being from another country that invests in, in their players, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. And I've always noticed whenever I do dabble into soccer cards, me personally, I always like buying them in their international kit. I like their nation kit more than their club kit always.
Mm-hmm.
That's just something I always like.
David says Mo Salah, who we're talking about, is the best player right now. And yeah, he'll probably win Premier League Player of the Year. He was leading the league in goals and assists, which is the same thing Harry Kane did last year.
Yeah.
But he's a tough sell. I have nice Mo Salah cards, and everybody asks about him because one of them is a rookie sticker that's really interesting. But in the card market, for some reason or another, he's a tough sell. Even when you put a really good price on something, maybe it has something to do with people not knowing what to value something at, because when you're talking about some of these soccer players, his rookie card is going to be a 2013 sticker. Now he's going to have one from Panini, a Champions League sticker, I believe, and he's going to have a 2013 Serbian issue sticker, only issued in Serbia, which is way more rare.
Yeah.
But because they're so rare, when they come up, people don't know what to price them at. So, I mean, that's what I'm carrying around with me. And a lot of people asked about it. But, when I give them a price that I thought was fair, they really didn't know a starting point on it.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of people really don't know starting points on that. Like me personally, I wouldn't know. Yeah, I think you showed that one to me. Like me personally, I wouldn't know, like where to start at on that stuff.
Yeah, I don't either a whole lot. Mike Davis says, "Yo, let's go Lakers." One thing I took out of this Philly show, a lot of people are interested in Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. And that's not because that's what I buy, because I'm not big enough to like pump the market for Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. All I'm saying is that I had a lot of that stuff with me because that's what I buy. So if I bought one, I wanted to be able to throw it in with what I already had. But a lot of people wanted to buy some of my stuff off of me. In fact, I sold a Magic Johnson to Taxi of all people. I sold a Larry Bird auto to a younger gentleman that his dad. Okay, so this is a funny story from trade night. I didn't tell. The last Philly trade night, these are going to go hand in hand. The last Philly trade night, someone wanted to buy one of my Larry Bird autos. I had 3 in my case. I was like, that's not for sale. It's part of my PC. I don't even know why they're in there. He says, Larry Bird is my favorite player in the world. And he was he was like 16 or 17. I was like, Larry Bird. I said, I would expect you to say like Trey or Luca was your favorite player. Yeah. So at that point, he was like, yeah, I'm trying to just get my first Larry Bird auto. So at that point, I'm like, I have plenty. I'm getting more. I'll move this one. This is how you pass along the hobby. So I moved this Larry Bird to a younger gentleman. About a month later, I'm searching Larry Bird autos to look to replace the one that I sold. And one pops up on eBay, just like mine, but it's graded by PSA, just like the one I'd moved to him. But when I looked at the serial number on the card, because the card was numbered out of 15, it was mine. He took it. He got it from me raw. He graded it and then put it on eBay. So I'm like, oh, okay. So he took me. That's all right. So.
Oh, man. He hit you with the PC? Oh, my gosh.
So this time, a younger gentleman comes around and he wants to buy, it's a Larry Bird Lux auto. Now, the Lux cards are almost like metal. And they got the silver pen. I just posted a Magic Johnson of one on IG yesterday, I think. So he comes up, he's going through there. He goes through all the Larry Birds and he specifically pulls out that one. And he's like, do you want to come off of this? And I was like, well, he was like, I'm trying to put together this set. I guess he said he likes the Lux set, which the Lux set is really cool. So I could understand that. And he was like, I was looking at this on eBay, but I lost it. And it was mine. It was the one that I bought off eBay. So I beat him on eBay for it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, tell me what I bought it for on eBay. Look up the comp because it's the last comp. We can look at the serial number on the card and match it up. I said, tell me what I bought it for. And he was like, you got it for $250. I said, if you want it, I'll sell it to you for $300. I said, I'm making $50. I get it. I said, but it doesn't make sense for me to not. I said, you see the auction and I'm just like, so I sold it to him for $300, but his dad came along and his dad took the money out of his wallet and he was like, this is being put away for Christmas. So it was kind of a different scenario. The card wasn't even directly going into the kid's hands yet because he was younger. He was even younger than other dude, but his father was like, here you go, 300, and this is going away as a Christmas gift. So
Sweet.
that was cool. Yeah, that was
that's
cool.
pretty cool.
But it's crazy how that card that he lost on eBay to me, and we found each other at a trade night in Philly.
Yep.
And he gets that exact card that he lost on eBay to me. That card was meant to be his in my mind.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have we would have never been put in that situation where we come, where we were in the same room, even to run to each other in that same room with all those people, let alone the same show in this whole world, crazy.
That's awesome that he's getting it for Christmas too.
Yeah. So yeah, that was cool. And I replaced it, you can't collect. There's so many Larry Bird and stuff autos out there. You can't collect them all. Yeah. So, I try to replace them and upgrade up. This one came, and I posted this on IG already. Also, this is a game used auto PSA 9. This one's out of 33. So numbered out of 33 PSA 9. This is a pop 1, but there is 110 out there. So still low pop, low serial number, game used. So I got rid of one Larry Bird, but a better one, in my opinion, goes back into my collection. That's kind of how I like to roll it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's just how it is, man. You get rid of some stuff. Like, for example, this weekend, this is nothing crazy. It's probably like a $30 card. But, somebody included it into a bowl cut. It's just Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, game used patch at a 25.
It's cool looking. It's a nice looking card. The color and everything, the black and the gold and everything.
It's a sick card. It's like, to me, it's sick. And it's like, if somebody ever wanted this, I would only get rid of it if I can find the one of 5 or the one of 10. Like, I mean, growing up, Dwayne Wade was my favorite player. I'm not gonna lie, I was a Heat fan, and I didn't love the idea of LeBron coming those first years because it's like everybody's a Heat fan. But Chris Bosh was there, so over time, it's like I ended up watching Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade on the same team together, and now I have them on a card together, and it's just something that means something to me. And now I need to finding this weekend, especially that it was included in a bulk deal. Now I need to find more of this because it's so criminally cheap that it's like I can collect it. You know what I mean?
Right. I picked up that Manning Brady patch on trade nights, and I think it's so typical of the card and the market, like / careers and everything. Because when you look at the card, it's like the Manning is just a white napkin, and the Brady is a big old multicolor patch, right?
Yes.
And it's like it just reminds me, okay, Brady gets all the love and Manning gets nothing. And I'm like, what the? It's just the way that it is in the hobby as well. It's like,
yes. And we were talking about
story told on a card.
Yeah, and we were talking about that too. It's like, there's no way. I get it, Peyton. But there's just no way that Tom Brady should be like a 50th or 10x or 15x of Peyton Manning. It's just no way, in my opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I just attribute that to Manning being more criminally underpriced as I do Brady being overpriced.
Yes.
Zizzy Toon. He's talking about Ovechkin here. I haven't followed much hockey, but we talked about Ovechkin a little bit earlier. He's having one of his best seasons late in his career. Are his cards moving? Now, I don't follow hockey, but I know his cards move. He just moves because he's like a LeBron. He's later in his career, but he's still playing good. He's still one of the players that really moves, even though he's older.
Mm-hmm. I don't watch hockey, so I can't comment on it, honestly.
Right. You have your younger guys, like your Connor McDavids and stuff that I would say are like move like your Lucas and stuff, your newer guys that are the new generation of the league, but the older guys that are, still carrying the torch, like Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby and stuff, you relate those to like your LeBrons and your Stephs or whatever, guys that are older, but still playing, at a peak level. Yeah. And their cards move because people know that they'll be all-time greats.
Oh yeah.
Or already are all-time greats, safe. A little bit safer.
Everybody actually asks for McDavid, which is crazy. Like, I do want to dabble into hockey a little bit because everybody literally asks for Connor McDavid all the time, which is really cool to see. Like people collecting hockey cards.
Modern crime and cards. Duncan and Manning don't get love. Luca and Herbert do. It's modern crime and cards. The flea market mixtape says it's the Super Bowls, and we get that. And I don't think what Kenny was saying was that he should mirror Brady, but it just shouldn't be such a big discrepancy between the prices. It should be a little bit,
And like I was telling you the other day, I mean, me growing up, I mean, I watched Peyton Manning growing up, and in my eyes, like he's the greatest regular season quarterback ever. Like as far as the regular season, those 16 games of the year, I mean, Peyton Manning was off the charts. Now Tom Brady is so great in the regular season and postseason, but Peyton really just couldn't get the job done. As far as me watching, like me growing up, I mean, Peyton was so talented in the regular season, but just could never get the job done in the postseason. So that's why Brady really gets the nod and everything, whether it's the triple patch or the napkin patch. And we were even joking the other day. We were like, "How many rings does he have now? What is it, 7, 8?" I mean,
yeah, we couldn't remember when that night we were sitting there talking. We were like, I think too many.
It's 7. I mean, it's crazy.
Manning's got 2, and Brady has too many.
Yeah, too many.
So Inglorious P is asking any tips for getting to where you are with your card business, and also if you feel free to talk about your new consigning that you're starting up as well. If you want to do that, you don't have to, but you can. Yeah,
for sure. I would say, I mean, the biggest way really is just trading up as well. If you got a bunch of stuff that you've had for a while and they still, and let's say you're trying to get that big break or something like that, you definitely want to just stack a bunch of assets together and try to get one big asset. Then you move that one big asset and then possibly get 2 assets and stuff like that. It's really just the building blocks game. I sneak in some PC in there when I can. Obviously, this is my full-time job, so I can't just blow it all on PC because then, I can't pay for rent. I got to keep the lights on. You know what I mean? I got to eat food, stuff like that. I mean, I'd love to buy PC all the time, but I mean, I try to squeeze it in there as much as possible. But yeah, I mean, it's a bunch of building blocks. It takes time. Definitely talk to a lot of people. Ask people, who possibly may have collected back in the day. My biggest break came from a collection. So if you buy collections, if you can ever find a collection, that's really where those big breaks come from, and they ascend you to the next level. And we are starting a new consignment. So if you guys do have any cards over $3,000, we will be taking them to most of the shows because I do travel to shows every weekend. We'll be highlighting them on YouTube for maximum exposure as well, and on Instagram. You set your price. It's only 10%. So you get 90% cash, PayPal, friends and family, whatever the payment method you need. Gets paid out within 24 to 48 hours. But we have a pretty decent following, so we're very confident that we can sell those higher end cards to you or for you because we do deal with a lot of higher end buyers as well.
Yeah, and even though this is not something that I'm able to do all the time, but I'm going to guess that one of the successes for you, how you got the ball rolling and what you're doing is getting out and making relationships, going to the shows and making the relationships. That's the most, because like you just talked about, you have a lot of people that follow you. You know people that you can move cards to, and that didn't come from just sitting home and doing online business. That came from getting out to the shows, getting exposure for yourself, also being and it's not just about going to a show, because you can go to a show and walk around and not say a word, just buy and sell and not say a word. Or you can set up a booth and basically say, this is how much I want for it. It's more so getting on a little bit more of a personal relationship to where, like we did this time. We had only ever really kind of talked in dealing, talked on Instagram. We talked some at the North Carolina show, the last Philly show. I always felt like you were really busy, so doing your thing, so I didn't want to bug you. And then this time we just had that trade night where we actually sat down and talked, and it's somebody else now, because I've made a lot of friends in this community, so now it's like I got another friend on the list, and that's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes like I definitely felt like it was that way whenever we talked at prior shows. The first time I ever met you was at the National, and it was It was when Jacob Eason.
I sold you a Jacob Eason card. Yes.
Sold me a Jacob Eason. I sold it that night at trade night. I think I made like $50. So I appreciated that on the deal. And then we kept talking and stuff like that. So I mean that was cool. That you left me some room on that. At the end of the day, really, like a lot, we try to leave room for everybody for the next person. But I will say one of my biggest successes too, whenever I set up at these shows, is that sometimes I haven't done it lately, but some of the times I put, like, let's say I'll put a price tag on the back of the card, right? That way, when somebody's like, "Hey, how much is that?" You kind of break the ice. You turn the card around, but you get the convo rolling before you even show them the card, before you get the price out, stuff like that. And some people, I mean, this hobby's huge, so I honestly, the content's just the bonus. Making a YouTube is just the bonus. So like some people really don't know me, and that's okay. I'm not expecting people to know me or anything like that. So if they don't know me, it's better. I love it too, because it's like, we could just talk as just a regular hobby conversation.
Right.
But going back to what we were talking about, it was awesome that after that big deal happened, with Josh and stuff, we got to, the ball rolling, just chatting about life and collections and Marvel and buying bulk deals and 90s cards and stuff like that. And then we were in the casino upstairs and we still kept talking, and like I said, I mean, if at any time you always just want to chat about this hobby or geek out on some Marvel stuff, I'm always game about it, man. So I definitely enjoy going to these shows and talking about this stuff, because like, I mean, this is what I do full time, and whenever I'm not at these shows, I'm at home and I'm just watching a show, or I'm just working out, or I'm just hanging out with family. And it's like, you go to these shows and you talk to these people. It's kind of like it's like you're just home technically. It's like these guys they're into this just like I am, man, and I love it.
Yeah. So VWOGs 18. I hope I didn't butcher that. Said he met you at a Charlotte show, talking about a messy card, and was wondering if you're going to be in Charlotte in January.
Yeah, I actually do believe I'm going to be in that one. That one's actually at a baseball field. It's going to be at the college baseball field. I actually do believe I'll be in that one. And that's another thing too that I like. Whenever my YouTube channel, like I said, I mean, out of nowhere, it just kind of took its own toll and it went up. The cool thing was that the locals really showed a lot of love. Like I went to these shows and I was just like, and I didn't have a problem with it. I would just go to the shows and nobody knew me, which was, I didn't have a problem with it or anything. But people started watching the videos locally, and it was cool to see, that, dealers would show a lot of love and appreciation for whenever I would buy their stuff. So, and I'm always grateful for that.
All right, let's see. We got some good comments coming in now. So it's it seems sellers have come down off their pandemic high prices. Things are down right cheap. I would say things are realistic. I wouldn't say things are cheap. I think we're in a realistic market. I think stuff is fair. I think you can sell fair. I think you can buy fair. Yeah, you can buy cheap and you can sell cheap, but I'm not going to say that's for the vast majority. I'm going to say, yeah, you might stumble into something like I thought I bought that Christian Pulisic the other night really cheap. But that's few and far between. It's not like everybody's out there liquidating or dumping. Maybe if they're getting bulk orders back from PSA and they just need to liquidate to recover some of their fees and things like that, and they're selling a bulk collection off. But mind you, that collection is going to be resold more than what it was bought at. Somebody might, if people are selling in bulk, then they're selling really cheap just because they're trying to recoup, as opposed to somebody buying that bulk lot is now going to price it up and make they're going to get their meat that's left on the bone. That's how it works, Yeah. But that's what's expected when you make these deals. You're not expected to sell somebody a bulk lot of 100 various miscellaneous slabs at comp. It's just not the way that it works. And as long as you understand that, you'll always make good deals. Some will work better in your favor and some won't. But as long as you understand that going in and know what you're getting yourself into, you'll always be successful coming out on the other side. And let's see. Vogs asked if I could show his comment, which I did. So Tal's wondering how you and Roth became close.
Oh, yeah. So it's crazy. So I used to, I'm still active in Facebook groups, but before I started actually going to shows, I was always heavy on Facebook. Like I would sell on Facebook, I would buy on Facebook all the time. And I'd see Josh post there all the time, and I was like, wow, this guy's got some really cool stuff. And the way you could tell, like he's big with social media, the way he markets it, like the way, it's kind of just how the posts look. He's very, very good at social media marketing. And then finally, he made a video. He was in Hickory. Whenever I made my first card show vlog, he made his first card show vlog in Hickory. The thing is, I never met him yet, and I didn't meet him at that show. So my first ever vlog was his first ever vlog, and we didn't even run into each other. I actually met him in Miami. He sold me 2 cards. He sold me a Cristiano Ronaldo BGS 95 and a Kevin Durant E-Tops rookie. We ended up meeting. I told him, I was like, hey man, I appreciate your channel. I definitely like what you're doing for the hobby. And it was just kind of like nonchalant. It was just, hey, I appreciate you for what you do in the hobby, and I watch your stuff. And he was like, oh yeah, sweet bro, I appreciate that. And I told him I had a YouTube channel. I'm sure he probably hadn't heard of it at the time yet or anything like that. And pretty much like I saw him 2 weeks later back in Hickory. Whenever I made my first ever like behind the table vlog, I was starting to put like a new perspective. I did the seller's perspective. Like I was selling at a card show rather than going around buying. And then I saw him there again. We chatted again, and then a month passed, and I met him in Tampa. And then we actually, we went to lunch, and we just started talking. We were like, hey, we should collaborate on a video. We should buy something on a video, or we should just try to get content going. And then we were like, yeah, I'm all for it. And then I saw him again the next week. And then after that, it just kept going and going. And it's just a natural relationship that has gone on till today. And I mean, we just split a 5-figure deal. So, I'm grateful for the friendship, for the relationship, for, the business part of it too. He has great content, and we're gonna keep doing as much as we can. And it's awesome how like it naturally evolved from just, hey, I watch your YouTube channel, to now we're really cool friends. Like you could literally see the first time I met him, it's on my YouTube channel. That's the first time I ever met him. And now to where we're at the table setting up together at shows, and we're buying bulk deals together, and we're buying high-end cards together sometimes. I mean, that what more can you ask for? I mean, it's pretty cool.
And with the social media thing, what was crazy to me, but you said it was crazy to you when we were talking in the casino, that I thought it was crazy to me that you said you used to watch my channel before you had a channel. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself that I watched your stuff, but you didn't even watch mine. That's what I was thinking.
No, like literally. So whenever I first, because I did my YouTube channel, okay, I merged it into sports cards in, I think, April of last year of 2020. Before that, I was just doing random stuff. Like I would vlog my travels and stuff like that. The first ever sports card channel I saw was Dustin, the personal finance dad. I was there when he had the elevator music, 14 subscribers. I mean, the production wasn't great, but man, the info was crazy. I was like, this guy has got it. And then, as the months went on, I learned about Boris, I learned about Brad, I learned about you, and I was watching you guys' stuff, and I was like, man, these guys do a great job. And I never thought my channel would be big. I would just put out videos because, I thought my knowledge on just the sports would translate over to sports cards. And that was the case for maybe a month or so. And then out of nowhere, prices went down. So, I kind of just needed to like figure out more. I needed to learn more about the market. I needed to take a step back and just, do my own research and hit the shows. And then I hit my first show, and that's when I learned about, selling at 70%. Somebody offered to buy my table, but he was like, hey, if I'm buying your table out, you have to understand that I'm buying you out because I have to resell it at a certain price. So that's when I learned, like, I don't know, I can be greedy and take 100%, but how long is it going to take for me to get 100% per card? You know what I mean? 90%. Whereas I can sell all this stuff to this guy for cards that I'm into for nothing that I ripped at 70%, and I'm still really up 300%. And you know, and that's really what learning the game is really what I've appreciated, because you get a different perspective. Like, you know, somebody bought out my table, and I took the money in, and I invested it into LeBron cards, and then those LeBron cards turn into something. And then going to my first show, and then my second show, and then vlogging on camera, it was a different experience. I was nervous. Trust me, I was super nervous the first time I ever did it. I'm still nervous to this day, and a lot of people don't think so. But you know, it's weird still doing it, but I'm glad that people watch it. I'm very grateful that people watch it, and yeah, I mean, it's sweet that you watch it, man. Like it really is. Like,
See, I thought it was the other way around. I was like, you know, let's be for real. I'm older, like, so I just figure most of the people who watch my content, they're probably about my age or whatever, you know. So when I hear that, some of the younger crew enjoys my content too, I'm like, it's just surprising, but you know, it's cool, it's awesome, but it's surprising. Quick question on Tua, and you're down in the Miami area or the Florida. You're a Dolphins fan. I'm a Dolphins fan. And I wouldn't say that Tua cards are really moving, even though he's playing better. But I would just, I'm not going to put that on the player as much as I am just on the NFL market.
Yeah. I mean, the way I see it, so I'm a Dolphins fan, so I like Tua. I don't want to be like so biased, but I want to be realistic. Like Tua last year, I think how he was handled last year really is affecting how his prices are this year. Like, for example, you know, he had his little shot, and then he got benched, and then he came back in, like, and people think he's injury prone. I just think how all that was handled, it kind of just already baked into his price this year. You know what I mean? He had the preseason hype, and then he got hurt again, so it's kind of like, you got to wait for another preseason hype. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Hottest current basketball player at the Philly show. I know one. Tyrese Maxey was hot, but we were also in Philly. So the thing is, we were in Philly, but I felt like every Tyrese Maxey card that I saw get pulled out of the table, the dealer on the other side of the table was trying to buy it.
Yes.
He's playing well. We know Ben Simmons is on the outs with Philly. That's pretty much going to be Maxey's position there. The team's good. So, I mean, he does have a lot of positives going for him. I don't know how much of that had to do with that we were actually in Philly, though, that his cards were moving very, very liquid.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I would pass by dealers, like Maxey was moving. There was one more. Anthony Edwards was moving.
Yeah, he was moving.
I mean, typically, anytime I go to Philly, before Philly, I always try to stack up on Philly inventory. Like I took a bunch of Devontae Smiths to Philadelphia. I took, I brought the Gardner Minshew's there because I didn't think it was. I mean, that's before he even got, before Jalen Hurts was announced injured. I took the Minshew's there because I thought somebody would just take a chance on Minshew, and then he ended up playing, which it all worked out. But yeah, I mean, anytime you go to, like, let's say if you're traveling to one of those big shows, let's say it's Dallas or Tampa, try to take cards of those teams, like the Cowboys. Take it all to Dallas. Just take it all there. Everybody's gonna stuff.
Yeah, I intentionally took a Zach Ertz Precious Metal Gems to Philly just because it's normally a card I wouldn't carry in my case, in a top loader, but because we were going to Philly and there was definitely going to be a trade night, I moved my Jalen Hurts. I had a Jalen Hurts. I think it was a limited RPA. It was an HGA slab, though, and it was a throw-in from a trade that I've had since the National. It was just a throw-in. Didn't really know how to value it. It was an HGA 8.5, and I was just like, man, I was able to move that in Philly and get a little bit of money for it, And I was like, because I said, I told myself, I was like, if I can't move this at this show, I'm going to be like the vintage collectors. I'm taking this shit to my grave.
Hey, for that, what was it she said? For that, I'd keep it. Man, I'm telling you, I offered strong, man. I really did. I offered 90% of eBay. I mean, you get 86%. I offered 90%.
All right, Rascal 30. And this is a pretty good question because, in my opinion, raw cards are a good approach right now. What kinds of prices or percentage of comps do you guys like to buy raw cards for? Same question for when you're selling raw cards.
It really just depends. I mean, honestly, a bunch of raw cards are a very tough move. I will buy anything that's gradable at 100% raw comp.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're telling me that it looks gradable and I look at it and it looks gradable, I'll give you 100% comp. If it's, if they're saying it won't gem, it could just depend on the card. I like to get big bulk lots together. That way, some of the raw stuff I can just send it off to get consigned with like DC Sports, and I don't really have to deal with it. But I mean, most of the stuff in my showcase is raw. I really don't buy too much graded lately because I mean, you could buy the graded stuff at 80%, 85%, up to 100%, whatever it is, and then make a quick 10% return. It just depends, but raw is very tough to buy sometimes, but. It really just depends. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it depends on your plan for the card. If you plan on grading the card, then yeah, pay strong on the raw card comp, because if you think it's going to grade well on the other end, you're going to make your money. Exactly. If you're looking to resell it raw, now it's going to really depend on the card. Is this a condition sensitive card? Is it a PMG? For I'll just use this for an example because they're super condition sensitive, and you don't see Marvel PMGs laying in showcases. So when somebody has one, like I had a couple of raw ones. So when somebody has one and you look at it and then you look at an online comp, you don't know the condition of that online card on a condition sensitive card like a PMG. And if you're looking at a really strong grading candidate in your hand on a card like that, you may want to pay above comp because you're eliminating your risk of buying a damaged card. Sometimes, so you might be like, yeah, the last comp on this card was $500, but this is super condition sensitive. This card is super clean. I plan on getting it graded. Even if I pay $600, $650, $150 over comp, I still feel strong enough that on the other end of that grade, I'm going to make my money.
Yeah. I mean, and that's how it is too. Like I would say, some people actually bring me stuff and they already kind of price it pretty fair. I'd say like for example, I had this one, there's this one dealer. He's a good friend of mine. His name's Tyler. He's actually he buys stuff at, I don't know, maybe 60%. I mean, he's got to be making a killing because he'll bring it to me at like 70% and then I'll move it to 80. But like he'll bring me good stuff. Like for example, he sold me this at like 70%, a silver Shea Auto. I mean, you're not going to find those typically for 70%. Now, he got it in a big bulk deal. So, I mean, he probably paid something, he got it probably for a crazy steal because he gave me a great deal on it. But, he did say, hey, I mean, I don't know how they're going to do. There was a couple cards from the pile that did look grade worthy, but then the other ones weren't grade worthy. Unfortunately, that one wasn't. So, that's just how it is. Taking off.
He's stacking all those gems all the way to the end, baby.
Charles taking them all to the grave, man.
So David said, is it better to buy raw at shows? You can see, yeah, you kind of answered your own question, but yeah, it's definitely better to buy in person because you can and don't be afraid to look that card over.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to take it out of the penny sleeve of everything. As long as you're careful, obviously. Just don't be afraid to take it out of the mag. Like, let them know, hey, is it cool if I take it out? If they don't want you to take it out, don't buy the card.
Right. And yep, I was going to say that my very first show back in 2020, the March show that I told you, where I sold a LeBron prior to going into that show. There was a select Concourse Silver Trae Young raw in a showcase. It had a price tag on it, and I said, "Can I look at that tray?" And I got it in my hand. Now the top loader was scratched up, so we're already talking about presentation. And I'm like, "Do you mind if I take this out and take a good look at it?" I was like, "If I damage it, I'll pay you for it." I told him, I said, "If I take this out of the case and accidentally damage it, I'll pay you your sticker price for it." And the guy was like, "No, you either want to buy the card or you don't." He was like, "It's $50 or you don't want it," something like that. And I was like, "Okay." I said, "I don't want it that bad," So.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like at the end of the day, like for example, I buy raw stuff all the time typically, and I still put it in the showcase, and I can still make like 10, 5%, whatever the return is. But just be aware whenever you're buying raw stuff, try to find those tables and showcases that just have a bunch of raw cards. That's where you'll have success. You don't want to go to somebody with 100 graded cards and 3 raw cards because there's a reason why they're raw. And then they're going to say, oh, it's going out to PSA or I've already looked it over. Then, if they've already looked it over, then why isn't it a PSA? You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
He said, do people get cranky when you pull out the loop or the magnifier?
I try not to pull it out. I typically try to eyeball the stuff at first. So I got this from PSA Collector, which is now Graded Card Investor. So pretty much he would say if you find any flaw within the first 5 seconds of looking over a raw card on the surface, then you're good. Like if you didn't find a flaw, then you're good. So typically, I'll look it over. If I don't see anything within the first 5 to 10 seconds, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a pretty, this is mint.
Mm-hmm.
If you see that first thing right off the first glance, then there's a reason why the card's raw.
Yeah. If I'm looking to buy a card off someone, so say for instance, I initiate the deal. Hey, I want to take a look at that card. I'm going to give it a glance over, like you just said. However, if somebody's bringing a card to me to sell, and they're like, hey, would you like to buy this? Like, say, for instance, I was on the other side of the table. Would you like to buy this card? Then I might pull something out and actually look at it real good, because then I'm going to be like, this is a card that they're bringing me as opposed to a card that I'm actually going to get from someone else. So that's kind of how I approach that a little bit.
At the trade night, when we did the big deal for the Brady's, at the end of it, Josh was going to pass on the deal, and I was like, look, I can't let you walk away on this deal for $1,000. Like I'll get it done for the last 1,000. So, I offered him the extra 1,000 or whatever, but we brought out the magnifying glass and looked at the Brady, and the guy got kind of offended. And he was like, if you're going to be ticky-tacky about it, I'll just take the whole deal off the table. And I was like, all right, my bad. So some people actually don't like it. Everybody has their preference. I try not to rub anybody the wrong way. And so, sometimes you just don't want to kind of take out that stuff. If you can eyeball it naked, then take a look at it and take your time too.
And one last question from myself, dude. Do you ever buy graded cards with the intention of cracking and resubmitting?
Not as much as I should. I should though.
Okay, because I don't do that a whole lot either, but I know a lot of people take advantage of that. Quite a few people do anyway, and that's something. To me, it seems like a lot of work, considering I don't have a ton of free time.
Yeah.
And
not as much as I should. I really should do it more often, because we did just see like a big jump. Like one of our friends, he had a BGS9 Trae Young Tiger Stripe rookie, which is probably like 4,000, 5,000, something like that. Sent it off to PSA, cracked it, came back a PSA 10. So now it's like 15,000.
Okay, that was Daniel, the great curator, just did a video where he cracked a KG refractor and it went from 8.5 to a 9 PSA 9. So that's a good one too. If someone, if there was a professional card cracker out there that was like, okay, I'll crack all your cards for $5 a card or $10 a card, then that would be like one. Then I would be like looking to do it more. But I'd even be scared to kind of. Crack
I've cracked like 3 slabs before. So I'm gonna tell you about my first ever crack. I damaged the card. I was sick. Oh my gosh, I was so mad at myself. I was so mad, man. So this is when the Luka hype was very hot. So I sent off the optic base to PSA. It came back a PSA 8, and I just felt already that I was like, there's no way this is a PSA 8. There's no way. I think it's a 9. There's just no way. The grader was having a bad day. So I didn't know how to crack a card. So what I did, I literally winged it. I didn't even look up on YouTube. This was last year. I was still kind of, new to crack, like to grading and all that. I grabbed a free weight, like a 15-pound dumbbell. I grabbed a 15-pound dumbbell and I just dropped it on the slab. So, the top of it was smashed. And I was like, okay, cool. So I'm going to just peel it. And when I peel it, the slab started warping into the card, and then I saw the Luka get damaged, and I was like, oh my gosh. And when I took out the Luka, like the paper, it was just like it was ripping. The card was ripping.
Damn.
And yeah, so I wasn't the best at cracking. So
You gotta stop taking cards to the gym with you, man. Carddeal.com. What's going on? So we're 2 hours and 15 minutes in. We're gonna go ahead and get ready to wrap this up. Both of us, probably got to get some sleep or do something. We probably got something we got to do, but it's been awesome talking. If you guys got any last second comments or questions, get them in. If not, you can hold them because we'll do this again sooner than later, especially if you guys, enjoyed tonight. Hopefully you guys did. And give a couple minutes because sometimes take these comments a couple seconds to come in. See if you guys got any quick questions. Got some comments, but no questions, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's been fun. Kenny, it's been a blast. It felt like I just talked to you a couple days ago.
Yeah, it was just like 2 days ago, man.
It was a couple days ago.
It's all good. Hey, Steve, I appreciate you having me on. Like I said, anytime. If you ever want me on, I'll make time for you, man.
All right, one more time. Shout out your YouTube, your IG, and all that for everybody who should already know it, but you can go ahead and do that.
YouTube is Kenneth Fornos. It should show it there. I don't know if it shows it on the screen.
Let me see. Right there.
Yeah, pretty much you just type it in like that. And then the Instagram is K Fornos, but instead of the S at the end, it's a Z.
Yeah, check out the thumbnail to this live stream, and I put it on there. I put with guest Kenneth Fornos, and I also put his IG handle on there, so you guys can check out his content. He's got a video going up tomorrow night, so I'm waiting for that already. Now I got something to look forward to. All right, man.
Appreciate you watching it, man. Thank you.
Thank you guys in the chat for keeping us entertained. Questions, comments, and see you guys next time. Take it easy.